Chapter 1507. On the phone, many things couldn't be explained clearly, so Yang Ming didn't ask in detail. He hung up the phone and directly told Ho Xinhan, "Go to Mingyan's house." "Brother Yang, I heard on the phone. You said that sister-in-law Mengyan was kidnapped. What happened? Do you want me to ask my brothers to investigate?" Ho Xinhan also heard most of it from Yang Ming's phone call. He also knew that Qin Mengyan was kidnapped. "No need. Let me go and ask about the situation first." Yang Ming waved his hand. Mingyan's father is the chief of the police station. Naturally, his channels of information are not less than ours, so let me figure out what happened. Ho Xinhan nodded and didn't say anything. Qin Mengyan was kidnapped. What the hell is going on? Before I left, I sent Victoria to Qin Mengyan's side. With Victoria's skill, how could someone kidnap Qin Mengyan in front of her? Or, when Victoria was unprepared, the person took action against Qin Mengyan. However, all this could only wait until he went to Qin Mengyan's house and met with Lin Jiyun, Zhou Jijia, and the others to know the truth. Hearing that Qin Mengyan had an accident, Ho Xinhan also consciously sped up. He ran a few red lights on the road, but this car belonged to the newly established escort company. Although it had a civilian license plate, it was painted with the police car standard, so no one stopped it. The car stopped directly downstairs in Qin Mengyan's house. Yang Ming unexpectedly found that there were already many police cars parked here. Although this was the police station's residential area, so many police cars parked in the yard during the day could also indicate that something unusual had happened. After Ho Xinhan parked the car, he said to Yang Ming, "Brother Yang, should I go up together or wait for you here?" "Let's go up together. You know them anyway," Yang Ming said after thinking for a while. Ho Xinhan nodded and locked the car. Then, he followed Yang Ming into Qin Mengyan's apartment building. After arriving at the floor where Qin Mengyan's house was located, Yang Ming was surprised to find that the door of Qin Mengyan's house was open at the moment. There were two policemen standing at the door. Seeing that Yang Ming was about to come in, they were slightly stunned and asked, "Who are you looking for?" However, immediately, the policeman saw Ho Xinhan behind Yang Ming and quickly said, "President Ho, why are you here?" "This is Chief Chen's son-in-law, Mingyan's boyfriend." Ho Xinhan smiled and introduced Yang Ming. Ho Xinhan and Bao Songli often appeared in the police station, so the people in the police station basically knew him. However, not many people knew Yang Ming. Only the criminal investigation team knew him. These two people obviously had not seen Yang Ming before. "Oh. It turns out to be Yang Ming. Please come in." These two people had obviously heard about Yang Ming, but they had never seen him before. When they heard that the person was Yang Ming, they quickly moved aside and let Yang Ming enter the house to talk. "Is Uncle Qin here?" Yang Ming was nervous about Qin Mengyan's safety. He didn't have the mood to chat with these two people, but he asked directly. "Chief Chen is in the station. He can't come over, but Captain Xia of the criminal investigation team is inside. Chief Chen's wife is also here." The policeman quickly replied. Yang Ming nodded and quickly walked into the living room. He saw Mother Qin, Xia Shui, Lin Jiyun, Zhou Jijia, and several policemen sitting anxiously next to the phone on the sofa. They seemed to be waiting for something. "Auntie Qin, how is Mengyan? What the hell is going on?" Yang Ming sat on the sofa opposite Mother Qin and asked quickly. "Yang Ming, you are here." Mother Qin saw Yang Ming coming over and smiled reluctantly. Then, she was still at a loss. Her face was full of worry. Little Yen was kidnapped. Yang Ming glanced around the living room, but he didn't find Victoria, so he looked at Lin Jiyun and Zhou Jijia. "Where is Qin Mingxi?" She and Sister Mengyan were taken away by the criminals. Lin Jiyun whispered. Come to think of it, Mother Chin was well aware of Lin Jiyun's and Zhou Jiejia's identities. Xia Shui was probably also very clear about it. However, the others present regarded them as Chen Mingyan's good friends, so they didn't think much about it. Auntie Chin, what is going on? Why did they kidnap Mengyan? When Yang Ming heard that even Victoria was taken away, his heart suddenly skipped a beat. Yang Ming was very clear about Victoria's skill. Although she wasn't as good as Wang Xiaoyan, it was almost the same. The other party could take her and Chen Mengyan together. Either the other party had a lot of masters. Even if they weren't as good as Victoria, they had an absolute advantage in terms of numbers. Or, the other party had guns and firearms, and Victoria couldn't compete with them. Let Xia Shui tell you. Mother Chen's eyes were sour, and she couldn't help but cry. Isn't it because of my old Chin? Why did he have to be the bureau chief for no reason? Who couldn't be the bureau chief? Not only did he do it, but he also provoked some big drug lord. Now, his daughter has been taken away as a hostage. Big drug lord. Yang Ming was still speculating whether Chen Mingyan's kidnapping had anything to do with the behind-the-scenes boss or the central that he had just started a feud with. After all, Chen Mengyan was kidnapped shortly after he provoked the central. Wasn't this too much of a coincidence? However, it was unlikely when he thought about it carefully. Could Central come all the way to China to kidnap Chen Mengyan? It was better to directly attack the butterfly family. Now that he heard Mother Chin say that the person who kidnapped Chen Mengyan had little connection with the behind-the-scenes boss and Central, he was relieved. In the eyes of ordinary people, drug lords should be a super terrifying existence, but in Yang Ming's eyes, they were really nothing. The Lancer family, a big arms family, was destroyed by Yang Ming. Why would he be afraid of a drug lord? It was just that he had to figure out the cause of the matter now. Yang Ming, come with me for a moment. I have something to ask you in private. Xia Shui also had something to ask Yang Ming. Since Mother Chen asked her to tell Yang Ming the reason for Chen Mingyan's kidnapping, Xia Shui did not decline and got up to invite Yang Ming into the inner room to talk in detail. Yang Ming nodded and vaguely guessed that Xia Shui might want to ask him about Chen Mingxi. After entering the inner room, Xia Shui locked the door and looked serious. Yang Ming, this is something that no one wants to see. Our top priority is to find a way to rescue Mengyan. As for how this matter was caused, let's not pursue it, okay? Xia Shui's words made Yang Ming slightly stunned. He originally thought that Xia Shui would ask about Chen Mingxi as soon as she entered the door, but he didn't expect that she would say such a thing. Xia Shui, you and I have known each other for a long time, and our relationship has always been good. What do you mean by your words? Yang Ming was really inexplicable. If you have something to say, can't you just say it? In fact, the reason why Mengyan was targeted by those drug lords was also related to the stubbornness of Captain Wang of our police anti-narcotics brigade. Xia Shui sighed and said, "Stubbornness? What do you mean?" Yang Ming frowned and asked. Captain Wang caught 4 Russian drug dealers this time and confiscated a considerable amount of heroin. Xia Shui explained, however, one of the drug dealers was Nicholas Shevich, the only son of the Black Hawk Gang, the largest gang in Russia close to the border of our country. The other party's people actually called and put pressure on our Songjiang police, asking us to release Nicholas Shevich and not do anything that we would regret. However, how could Captain Wang be threatened by them, so he refused the other party's proposal. Unexpectedly, Captain Wang's approach angered the Black Hawk Gang, so the Black Hawk Gang released a statement that if they didn't release their young master safely within 3 days, they would teach us a lesson. You mean Chen Mingyan's kidnapping is related to the Black Hawk Gang? Yang Ming frowned deeply after listening to Xia Shui's words. Yes, just this morning, the Black Hawk Gang sent us a fax again, asking us to release Nicholas Shevich. Otherwise, they would kill the hostage. Xia Shui said, so, I don't want you to vent your anger on Captain Wang. After all, he is also devoted to the public. Chapter 1508. Are you afraid that I will harm him? Yang Ming sighed faintly after listening to Xia Shui's words. He didn't do anything wrong. How can I blame him? It's just that this Black Hawk gang is very arrogant. Yang Ming knew that Xia Shui was worried about his special identity and special abilities. If the Supernatural Investigation Bureau was really involved, then Captain Wang would most likely become the victim of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau in order to appease Yang Ming's anger. Therefore, Xia Shui said this to Yang Ming. However, how could Yang Ming be the kind of person who couldn't distinguish right from wrong? In this matter, Captain Wang was not wrong. Even Chen Fei couldn't give the order to release the drug dealer because of his daughter. Therefore, Yang Ming really had no resentment toward Captain Wang. Instead, he had already branded the so-called Black Hawk gang with death in his heart. Yang Ming's murderous intent had risen. Since this gang dared to have ideas about the King of Assassins' wife, then no matter how powerful they were in the local area, they must be prepared to bear Yang Ming's anger. As long as you don't do anything irrational, it's fine. Xia Shui breathed a sigh of relief. I have contacted my brother about this matter. When necessary, they will also intervene. I'm afraid that Xia Bingbao asked you to pass those words to me, right? Yang Ming was slightly stunned, and then he guessed it. With Xia Shui's current position, it was difficult to say the previous words. After all, Xia Shui was not the police chief. The criminal investigation team and the anti-drug team were originally two independent systems. Therefore, the only one who could say these words was probably Xia Bingbao. You guessed it. Xia Shui was a little surprised. She didn't expect Yang Ming to guess the truth from her few words. When I heard you mention your brother, I thought of it. Yang Ming smiled faintly. Let's talk about the other things you are looking for me for. You know that I am looking for you for other things. This time, Xia Shui was even more surprised. She didn't expect Yang Ming to say that she had another purpose. It's probably about Chen Mingxi. Yang Ming sighed. He knew that he couldn't hide the identity of this person after all. He picked up the disposable paper cup on the table and poured himself a glass of water. He planned to tell Xia Shui about Chen Mingxi's origin. Yes, it's this person. Xia Shui nodded. I suspect that this person has a problem. He may have some connection with the Black Hawk gang. Poof. Yang Ming directly spat out the mouthful of water that he drank. It almost sprayed onto Xia Shui's face. It was all over the floor, and then he kept coughing. Yang Ming, what happened to you? Xia Shui was shocked. She didn't understand why Yang Ming had such a big reaction. Wasn't it a bit too strong? Chen Mingxi has a problem. Is she related to the Black Hawk gang? After Yang Ming took a few breaths, he said with a dumbfounded expression, how is this possible? I asked Zhou Jijia and Lin Jiyun. This Chen Mingxi claimed to be a distant relative of Chen Mengyan, but according to my investigation, Chen Mengyan doesn't have such a distant relative. I also confirmed it with Chief Chen. He didn't know about the existence of such a relative. In this way, the identity of this Chen Mingxi is very suspicious. Her name is so similar to Chen Mengyan, and the Chen family doesn't have such a relative. Her purpose of approaching Chen Mengyan is suspicious. Although I don't know how she gained the trust of Chen Mengyan, this person's identity is definitely fake. Xia Shui said sternly, I also checked the identity of this Chen Mingxi through the internet and found something suspicious. That is Chen Mingxi's file. From childhood until now, it was very vague about her growth experience. There was almost no mention of her past. Her ID number was just generated in Mount Jing in recent months. I also asked the Mount Jing police station about Chen Mingxi before, but for some reason, the Mount Jing police station actually refused to answer questions about Chen Mingxi. I suspect that some people in the Mount Jing police station are also colluding with the Black Hawk gang. I'm going to tell my brother about this matter and let him investigate the Mount Jing police station's decision to settle Chen Mingxi. Xia Shui said her thoughts in one breath, and Yang Ming didn't interrupt her. After listening to her, he smiled bitterly. Xia Shui, you don't have to investigate Chen Mingxi anymore. This person has no problem. Her identity was also handled by me through the Mount Jing police station. I used the name of the Bureau of Investigation, so it is normal for the Mount Jing police station to refuse to respond to anything about Chen Mingxi. What? It turns out that this Chen Mingxi was arranged by you to be around Chen Mengyan. Xia Shui was stunned when she heard Yang Ming's words, then she said incredulously, "Who is this person?" "She is actually a bodyguard I hired for Chen Mengyan." Yang Ming said with some truth, "You also know that I offended Elder Yu because of the investigation bureau. I can't always be with Chen Mengyan, especially when I have to go to Yunnan Miaojiang with you after a while. So, I must have no worries. So, I hired someone to protect Chen Mengyan, but I didn't expect that she was also taken away." Yang Ming said with a smile, "You also know that I offended Elder Yu because of the investigation bureau. It turns out that she is the bodyguard you invited." Xia Shui suddenly showed a frustrated look after hearing it. "I originally wanted to use this Chen Mingxi as a breakthrough point in the whole thing, but now it seems that I have gotten the wrong direction. Can you tell me in detail what happened from the beginning to the end?" Although Yang Ming was very worried about the safety of Chen Mengyan, now it seemed that if the other party used this hostage to threaten Chen Mengyan in exchange for the safe return of Nicholas Shevich, they would not really do anything to Chen Mengyan. However, a long night was fraught with dreams. Who knew that after repeatedly rejecting the Black Hawk gang's proposal, the other party would not do something irrational out of anger? At that time, even if Yang Ming sent the entire Black Hawk gang to hell, it could not make up for the regret brought by the whole thing. Therefore, Yang Ming must figure out the whole story as soon as possible, and then make a plan for the next step. Maybe this time, he would have to go to the Russian border alone and personally deal with the Black Hawk gang. As I said before, Captain Wang led people to arrest Nicholas Shevich and his drug gang members and seized a large amount of heroin. However, no one thought that this Nicholas Shevich was actually the young master of the Black Hawk gang, a big gang in Russia. The Black Hawk gang has a lot of power on the Russian border. The local government can't do anything to them. This is why they are fearless. Xia Shui began to introduce the Black Hawk gang in detail. Although after knowing this, we also expected that the other party might do something against us out of anger, but what we didn't expect was that they would target Chen Mengyan, which made us feel a little unprepared. "What was the specific situation at that time?" asked Yang Ming. At that time, Chen Mengyan, Chen Mingxi, Lin Jiyun, and Zhou Jiejie had just finished school. When they walked out of the school, they were stopped by several black-shirt men. According to Lin Jiyun and Zhou Jiejie, although the other party was wearing sunglasses and caps, judging from their skin color, they should be Asians, not Caucasians. So we suspect that they should be Chinese underlings of the Black Hawk gang. Xia Shui said, "Since the other party is selling drugs in the country, it is inevitable that they will accept some local underlings. This is also the reason why the other party can take away Chen Mengyan so smoothly. On our side, there is an insider of the other party. And this is for sure." Yang Ming was not surprised after listening. Chen Mengyan and Chen Mingxi were directly taken away at that time. Yang Ming's only doubt was that Chen Mingxi's skill was not inferior to Wang Xiaoyan. In this case, how did the other party take away Chen Mengyan? According to Lin Jiyun and Zhou Jiejie's memories afterward, only 4 people came at that time. They said that they had something to talk to Chen Mengyan. Chen Mingxi was immediately alert at that time. She seemed to be about to make a move, but she suddenly stopped. Xia Shui said, later, we analyzed that Chen Mingxi or Chen Mengyan should have discovered that the other party had guns. In the case of not being able to protect the safety of Chen Mengyan and the other two people, Chen Mingxi chose to compromise. However, at the beginning, we analyzed that Chen Mingxi was one of the other party's insiders, but now it seems impossible. Xia Shui laughed twice. She was mocking herself because of her previous train of thought. Yang Ming nodded. Only this possibility would make Victoria, who was also Chen Mingxi, not act rashly. Victoria was a woman with a sense of propriety. If there was no absolute certainty, she would rather compromise temporarily and look for another opportunity. At that time, if the four people had guns, and Victoria couldn't kill all four of them at once, it would inevitably cause someone to shoot and hurt Chen Mengyan, Lin Jiyun, Zhou Jijia, and the others. Therefore, a temporary compromise was a wise choice. Chapter 1509. Their goal is Chen Mengyan, right? Why did Chen Mingxi go with them? Yang Ming was a little surprised. Why did the other party take Chen Mingxi with them? Chen Mingxi said that she is Chen Mingyan's cousin. The other party probably thought that if they caught Chen Mingxi, they would have one more bargaining chip. Maybe they could exchange for one more person. Xia Shui guessed. Previously, she judged that Chen Mingxi was the other party's person, so she was not surprised that Chen Mingxi left with the other party. But now, after reconsidering this matter, Chen Mingxi's purpose was obvious. She was afraid that Chen Mengyan was alone. If Xia Shui went with them, they could take care of each other. At the critical moment, they might be able to escape. Yang Ming nodded. It seems that Chen Mingxi did it deliberately. Perhaps, whether we can rescue Chen Mengyan this time depends on her. I don't know if she left any clues for me. Are you going to get involved in this matter? Xia Shui immediately noticed Yang Ming's intention. It seemed that Yang Ming was preparing to attack the Black Hawk gang. Otherwise, Yang Ming would not say this. Yes, I am indeed preparing to do it. Yang Ming did not hide it at all. He said coldly, since they dare to touch my woman, they should think about the consequences of doing so. Xia Shui heard Yang Ming's firm tone and sighed. I can't stop you. My brother also expected you to do this. He asked me to tell you to be careful. If it is really something that you can't do with your own strength, contact him in time. He will send someone to intervene. Don't worry. I understand. Yang Ming smiled faintly. In a small town on the border between China and Russia, a young man dressed like a student wearing sportswear, a ski hat, and a travel bag behind him appeared here. The young man looked like a harmless and kind college student. Naturally, no one paid any special attention to him. Although there weren't many students traveling here during this season, it wasn't like there weren't any. The young man came to the wharf of a port. His eyes fell on a two-story Western-style building not far away with a Golden Eagle Logistics plaque hanging. A sarcastic expression appeared at the corner of his mouth. The Golden Eagle and the Black Eagle were somewhat related. Did they think that they could deceive everyone by changing their characters? This young man was naturally Yang Ming who had come here. Before Yang Ming left, the Black Hawk gang gave the Songjiang police 3 days to consider. However, 3 days were enough for Yang Ming to do some things. After secretly meeting with Qin Fei, Yang Ming went directly to the Nightless Club, the headquarters of Yang Ming's forces. He directly found Bao Sanli and asked him to investigate the domestic sphere of influence of the Russian Black Hawk gang. In addition, he also called Uncle Sun San in Donghai and asked him to help investigate this matter. These things might be secrets for ordinary people, but for people in the underworld, it wasn't difficult. It was even faster and more accurate than the police's intelligence. This was why many police officers looked for informants as their source of information. People in the underworld always had some special intelligence channels that were not known to others. With Bao Sanli's current status, he quickly inquired about the Black Hawk Gang's power in the country. Although Bao Sanli had turned clean and was not involved in things like drugs, it did not mean that the small gangs in other cities and counties were not involved in these things. When Bao Sanli spoke strongly, which of these small gangs dared not to answer honestly? As a result, the Black Hawk Gang's power in the country surfaced. At the Bianhai City Dock, a logistics company responsible for import and export transportation, Golden Eagle Logistics, was the Black Hawk Gang's domestic stronghold. Behind Golden Eagle Logistics, it was controlled by the largest gang in Bianhai City, the Golden Eagle Gang. This Golden Eagle Gang was actually a branch of the Black Hawk Gang. The original person in charge was the only son of the Black Hawk Gang's leader, Nicholas Shevich. Logistics. That was a very good cover for him. Yang Ming snorted. He didn't know whether Chen Mengyan was being held nearby at the moment, or she had already crossed the border and was taken to Russia. If she was in Russia, it would be really difficult to handle. Yang Ming walked into Golden Eagle Logistics and saw several men gambling in a circle. Some of them had deep scar marks on their faces, which made people think that they were not good people at first glance. Seeing Yang Ming come in, several people looked up at Yang Ming and lowered their heads to continue playing cards. Only a bald man said to Yang Ming, "Do you want to check in something?" "Yes, I want to check in something," Yang Ming said faintly. As he spoke, his eyes had already explored the situation on the second floor. On the first floor, there were only these 5 men sitting around the table gambling. On the second floor, a white man was hugging 2 yellow women and teasing them. This person should be the leader of the Golden Eagle Gang. Although his position may be under Nicholas Shevich, now it seems that he should be in charge here for the time being. In this way, there was no need for these 5 people to stay. If he wanted to know something, he could just ask the white man directly. "Check in what?" "Fill in the form on that table, and then bring the thing to me." After the bald man heard Yang Ming's intention, he lowered his head again, pointed to the table next to him, and continued to play cards. "You don't have to fill in the form. It's useless to fill it," Yang Ming said faintly, "and the thing is here." "What do you mean?" The bald man looked up again inexplicably and glanced at Yang Ming, but he didn't see anything. He suddenly wondered, "What is it? Where is the thing? Isn't the thing on you?" Yang Ming smiled and looked at the bald man with a smile that wasn't a smile. "On me? What are you talking about?" The bald man frowned. If he didn't see Yang Ming dressed like a weak college student, he would have been angry. "Yes, the thing I want to check is your life. You are responsible for helping me to check it in hell." Yang Ming smiled and closed the door of the logistics. "Are you fucking looking for trouble?" After the bald man listened to Yang Ming's words, if he didn't know that Yang Ming was here to cause trouble, then there was something wrong with his brain. But in his opinion, it was Yang Ming's brain that had a problem. A college student dared to look for trouble alone, it was simply courting death. "You saw through it." Yang Ming smiled. He didn't care about the man's angry expression. "Fuck your mother, I think you are tired of living, right? You dare to come here to tease us brothers, don't you know where this is? This is the headquarters of the Golden Hawk Gang." Another scarred man also threw away the cards in his hand, stood up, and pointed at Yang Ming and scolded. "This is the headquarters of the Golden Hawk Gang." Yang Ming was a little speechless. He wanted to ask if this was the headquarters of the Golden Hawk Gang before they died. In the end, before he could ask, this guy said it himself. It really saved him a lot of words. "Great, since you are sure, let me send you on your way. Brothers, this kid is probably stupid, right?" The bald man looked at Yang Ming like he was looking at a fool. There were 5 people on his side, and the other side was only 1. How dare he be arrogant here? Wasn't there something wrong with his head? Chapter 15:10. Yang Ming looked at the arrogant bald man and smiled indifferently. He held his hands together and stood in place. However, his sarcastic smile could express his meaning without words. Wait. A man with glasses who had not spoken but seemed to be the leader of these people waved his hand and stopped the bald man. Brother Cow, this kid. The bald man seemed to be a little unconvinced. He was about to make a move, but he was suddenly stopped by the man with glasses. He was very upset, but he had to listen to the man with glasses. Bald man, don't talk. The man with glasses called Brother Cow's unquestionable voice made the bald man immediately shut his mouth. It seemed that this Brother Cow was the leader of these people. Yang Ming also quickly made a plan in his heart. Everyone else would be killed, but this Brother Cow would stay for the time being. Maybe he knew more than the white man upstairs. Yang Ming planned this because he was afraid that the white man would not speak Chinese. It would be difficult to communicate. Although Yang Ming's special ability could see through other people's thoughts regardless of nationality, he could not guarantee that the white man would just want to see Qin Mingyan's matter. Who the hell are you? What is your purpose here? Brother Cow held the glasses on his face and looked at Yang Ming carefully. He asked in a cold voice. However, although he stopped the bald man from making a move, his attitude toward Yang Ming was condescending. He looked like he had the victory in his hands. Yang Ming felt that this Brother Cow was a character. He knew to inquire about the other party's details before making a move, but he was too inconspicuous. He was about to die, but he still dared to talk to Yang Ming with such an attitude. He was really tired of living. You don't need to know who I am. Yang Ming said faintly, as for my purpose of coming here, I originally wanted to send the 5 of you on your way, but it seems that you are a small leader. Maybe you are still useful, so I will spare your life for the time being and send the 4 of them on their way first. Fuck your mother, little brat, who are you? Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue when you talk big? When I was in the underworld, you were still in kindergarten. After the bald man heard Yang Ming's arrogant words, he suddenly became furious. He ignored Brother Cow's previous words and jumped out again. He raised his arm and was about to fight with Yang Ming. Brother Cow waved his hand and motioned to the bald man not to be impatient. Then, he narrowed his eyes and looked at Yang Ming and said, I will ask you one last time. Who are you? What is your purpose of coming here? If you don't want to say it, then I'm sorry. No matter what your background is, and no matter who is behind you, I won't blame you for not knowing. You can only stay here today. Brother Cow was an eye-catching person. Brother Cow hesitated again and again, and finally made up his mind. He waved his hand and said fiercely, do it. Kill him. Okay, Brother Cow. The bald macho man couldn't bear it anymore. Under Brother Cow's order, he suddenly jumped out first, raised his fist, and smashed it at Yang Ming's temple. Little brat, I will let you know what it means to be pretentious. Today, I will let you know what it means to be pretentious and be struck by lightning. Really? Yang Ming didn't care about the bald macho man's fist. He smiled calmly, where is the lightning? Why don't I see it? You motherfucker. The bald macho man was even more annoyed by Yang Ming's words. He unconsciously accelerated the strength and speed of his fist, and cursed. However, before he finished his sentence, his voice stopped abruptly. His eyes bulged, and he didn't even make a sound. His whole body fell to the ground with a bang. He lost his breath in the blink of an eye and became a corpse. However, one of his hands was still in the state of punching. It stood up from the ground like a zombie. It was terrifying. All of you go together. Brother Cow didn't expect that the bald macho man had already died. After all, this was too incredible. He only saw that Yang Ming casually moved, and the bald macho man fell to the ground. Therefore, he naturally thought that Yang Ming had used some means to make the bald macho man faint. This kid is a bit strange. You guys pay attention. The bald macho man has suffered a hidden loss. The other few people didn't expect that the bald macho man was still dead at this moment. Therefore, although they wondered how Yang Ming knocked down the bald macho man, they didn't think much about it. They still surrounded Yang Ming with a sinister smile. However, after Brother Cow's reminder, the three people were more cautious. They were wary of Yang Ming's tricks. Kid, if you know what's good for you, you should obediently surrender. Although we don't know what means you used to make the bald macho man faint, don't think that the same means can be used on us. Scarface warned, moreover, there are so many of us. Even if you knock out another one, you can't knock out all three of us at the same time. So, don't force us to be impolite to you. Really? You guys should be impolite. Yang Ming said faintly, I want to surrender, but in my opinion, it's easier to send the three of you on your way than to surrender. Since you're courting death, then don't blame us, gaw. Before Scarface finished speaking, he felt an itch in his throat. Then, a strange cry came from his throat. Then, his whole body fell down, exactly like the previous bald macho man. After falling to the ground, he stopped moving. When the remaining two people saw Scarface fall to the ground, their faces suddenly changed. Just as they were about to respond, they suddenly felt numbness in their bodies. Then, they lost consciousness. His right hand, which was originally holding the pistol, was gone at some point in time. Only a broken arm was left, and blood was bubbling out of it. I didn't expect that the throwing knife that I performed with Jiyun at the art festival would come in handy at this time. This knife is quite sharp. No wonder Ren Jianren was so miserable at that time. Yang Ming shook his head and said to himself. Yang Ming's throwing knife was inserted on a desk behind Brother Cow. Brother Cow's right hand fell to the ground, and he was still holding a pistol in his hand. I'm afraid that your gun will go off accidentally and force me to kill you, so you don't mind if I remove your gun, right? Yang Ming seemed to have done something insignificant. He looked at Brother Cow with a smile and said innocently. You are ruthless. Brother Cow was also a ruthless character. Although his right hand was cut off, at this moment, he gritted his teeth and looked at Yang Ming with hatred. He seemed to want to eat Yang Ming, but he didn't do anything unwise. Because until this moment, Brother Cow finally understood how terrifying this young man who looked like a college student in front of him was. Brother Cow also believed most of what he said before about killing the four underlings. It wouldn't be difficult for a person with such powerful skills to kill off four of his subordinates. At least Brother Cow himself didn't see clearly how Yang Ming's throwing knife cut off his palm. It seemed that everything happened in a breath, and there was no sign at all. This made Brother Cow very nervous. If Yang Ming's throwing knife was aimed at his heart or neck or other fatal points, then he would have been dead. Whether I am ruthless or not, it's not up to you to decide, Yang Ming frowned. However, I will be more ruthless to those who dare to touch my women. Those two girls are your women. Who are you? You are not a member of the Songjiang police. Brother Cow looked at Yang Ming with some horror and exclaimed. Previously, Brother Cow thought that Yang Ming was a member of the Songjiang police. Although he felt that Yang Ming's ruthlessness was somewhat inappropriate, if Yang Ming was one of those special agents, it was possible for him to be more ruthless. But now, listening to Yang Ming's tone, he didn't seem to be an official person, but the boyfriend of one of the two women who were caught yesterday. Hey, of course, I am not a member of the Songjiang police. Yang Ming snorted, your IQ is low enough. If I were a member of the police, would I come here alone? Have you ever seen a police officer come alone to arrest someone? Do you think I am a lone hero? Then why are your skills? Brother Cow felt bad in his heart. The Golden Hawk gang seems to have encountered a tough nut this time. The person in front of me is not a member of the police, and he is so ruthless. Then this time, it is really difficult to escape. Since Yang Ming is not a member of the police, he will definitely not have any scruples. It is better if all of them are dead. Therefore, Brother Cow had completely lost hope for the previous situation of the bald macho man and others. In all likelihood, they were really killed by the person in front of him. And it seems that I can't escape the fate of being killed by this person. However, what is going on this time? Isn't that chick the daughter of the Songjiang police chief? Why does her boyfriend look like a homicidal demon? Looking at his appearance, it is not the first time he has killed someone. He simply takes killing as a routine. He doesn't even blink his eyes. What the hell is going on? Since I am here, I am not afraid that you can walk out of this room again. It is fine to tell you. My identity is an assassin. Yang Ming was not afraid to tell Brother Cow the truth. I don't care if you are the Golden Hawk gang or the Black Hawk gang behind you. If you touch my woman, then there is only one ending. That is, you all have to die. Assassin. As a veteran in the underworld, Brother Cow naturally knew what the word assassin meant. He also understood what a terrifying existence this was. This young and sunny man in front of him was actually a legendary assassin. Brother Cow really had the urge to cry. He was so lucky that he could meet such an awesome existence. Moreover, he participated in the kidnapping of other people's women yesterday. If Brother Cow knew that he would offend such a terrifying existence, he would not work for the Black Hawk gang even if he had to run away against orders yesterday. At most, he would hide his identity and no longer mingle in the underworld. It was better than losing his life now. Brother Cow really completely dispelled the idea of confronting Yang Ming. He could take his life with just a lift of his hand. Master Assassin. I am just a lackey who works for the Black Hawk gang. The order to kidnap your woman was also given by the higher-ups. I was just following orders. It has nothing to do with us. Brother Cow thought of his fate and almost cried. If he had known earlier, he would have bought the lottery earlier. Chapter 15:12. Really? Yang Ming curled his lips. Naturally, he wouldn't believe Brother Cow's words. Even if what he said was true, what could he do? Before meeting Yang Ming, Brother Cow was an accomplice to the villain and worked for the Caucasian. After meeting Yang Ming, he looked pitiful and helpless. How could Yang Ming have any sympathy for him? This was a typical case of bullying the weak and fearing the strong. Yes, Master Assassin, we are also forced. This place is close to the port. The Black Hawk gang's forces have already infiltrated. If we don't serve the Black Hawk gang, we have no way to survive. When Brother Cow saw that Yang Ming didn't kill him, he suddenly thought that he saw some hope, so he quickly explained. Forced. Yang Ming sneered, if you don't become the Black Hawk gang's henchman, who will force you to do it? According to what you said, there are so many people in Bianhai City. If they don't serve the Black Hawk gang, they will all die without a burial place. This. Brother Cow was speechless. Yang Ming's words were not unreasonable, but that was only relative to ordinary people. For people like him who mingled in the underworld, if he didn't join the Black Hawk gang, how could he survive? However, he couldn't explain anything. After all, even if he explained, Yang Ming would have to believe it. Now, I will ask you a few questions. If the answers don't satisfy me, you know the consequences. Yang Ming wasn't in the mood to talk nonsense with Brother Cow. He hadn't alerted the Caucasian upstairs yet. Yang Ming didn't know why that guy's vigilance was so bad. The 4 underlings below had been killed by Yang Ming, but he still had the mood to flirt with women upstairs. His heart was really big. Yang Ming's eyes glanced slightly at the ceiling. The situation upstairs was naturally clear. The Caucasian man didn't seem to notice the movement downstairs. He was still flirting with the 2 Asian women. However, looking at the shape of the 2 women's lips, it didn't seem like they were speaking Chinese. It seemed like they were speaking Russian. For these women, Yang Ming still had a trace of sympathy. After all, Yang Ming was not a cold-hearted person. These women also belonged to the kind of pitiful people. However, they had only themselves to blame for their vanity and flattery. Especially after Yang Ming found out that these 2 people were not of the same race, the sympathy in his heart disappeared. She even went all the way to a foreign country to be a prostitute. This kind of shameless woman, it's fine to destroy her. Master Assassin, I know something. I am not a core member of the Black Hawk Gang and Well, let me ask you. Who was involved in the arrest of the 2 girls yesterday? Yang Ming was quite satisfied with Brother Cao's attitude. If this guy was nagging, Yang Ming didn't mind using acupuncture points to make him feel good for a while before answering truthfully. I led the team, and a few of them. Brother Cao pointed to the few people lying on the ground with his only remaining finger. Oh. Didn't you say that there were only 4 people? Yang Ming frowned and looked at Brother Cao with a sharp gaze. Master Assassin, I didn't lie to you. At that time, the bald man drove. He didn't get out of the car. It was the rest of us who got out of the car. Brother Cao was afraid that Yang Ming didn't believe him, so he quickly explained. Oh, it turned out to be like this. Then you continue. Yang Ming asked, where did you take the 2 of them? We just brought them here. Brother Cao said carefully, we handed them over to Lukowski. Next, it's his business. We are just his thugs and henchmen. Who is Lukowski? Yang Ming vaguely guessed that this Lukowski was probably the white man upstairs. He is upstairs. He is the deputy leader of the Golden Hawk Gang. Brother Cao said quickly. Deputy leader. So, the leader is that Nicholas Shevich? Yang Ming nodded and continued to ask. Yes, he is the only son of the Black Hawk Gang's leader and the leader of the Golden Hawk Gang. Brother Cao didn't dare to hide and said carefully. So that's the case. You didn't do anything to the 2 women, right? Yang Ming's eyes focused and asked the key point of the matter. No. Brother Cao's head shook like a jade wave drum and denied repeatedly, how would we dare to do anything? According to our deputy leader, the 2 women are very useful. They are used to exchange hostages. How would we dare to do anything to them? Yang Ming was relieved after listening to Brother Cao's words. Yang Ming was most afraid that Chen Mengyan would be humiliated after being caught. As for Victoria, Yang Ming didn't care. If someone dared to do anything bad to Victoria, they would probably be killed by that chick. What else do you know? Asked Yang Ming. Sir Assassin, I have told you everything I know. There is really nothing else. We are just small fries. We are not the core figures at all. Please don't make things difficult for me. Brother Cao begged again and again. He didn't dare to have the slightest resistance. There were already 4 corpses lying on the ground. They were all killed by Yang Ming effortlessly. Even if Brother Cao had the courage, he didn't dare to act rashly. He didn't think that he could be Yang Ming's opponent. Well, in that case, I will send you on your way. Yang Ming saw that this Brother Cao had no value in keeping him alive, so he raised his hand and was ready to kill him. Sir Assassin! Didn't you promise me not to kill me? Brother Cao was suddenly shocked and exclaimed, Sir Assassin, I have said everything. You can't go back on your words. You are a magnanimous person. How can you lie to a small fry like me? Lie to you? When did I lie to you? Yang Ming said with some disdain, are you worth me lying to you? Then, didn't you say before that as long as I tell the truth, you won't kill me, said Brother Cow quickly. Did I say that? Yang Ming sneered and said, what I said was that if the answer doesn't satisfy me, you know the consequences. Isn't that about the same? Brother Cow didn't expect Yang Ming to play a word game with him. About the same. It's a lot worse. Yang Ming said faintly, if your answer doesn't satisfy me, I will slowly torture you until you tell the truth. If what you say satisfies me, then I will give you a quick death so that you will suffer less. After listening to Yang Ming's words, Brother Cow's expression suddenly darkened, and a desperate expression appeared on his face. But suddenly, his eyes widened and he shouted, Deputy Leader Lukowski, someone is here. Run! Yang Ming quickly slapped Brother Cow's head. Brother Cow's whole body suddenly twitched, then he lay on the ground with blood flowing out of his 7 orifices. He died. You didn't die in vain. A traitor actually did this. You even warned the master before you died. How can an ordinary henchman do this? Yang Ming looked at Brother Cow's body mockingly and said contemptuously. As for whether Lukowski upstairs could hear Brother Cow's warning, it was not Yang Ming's concern. Yang Ming didn't care. If he heard it, then so be it. Yang Ming was not afraid that Lukowski would run away or make any preparations. However, what made Yang Ming speechless was that Lukowski was still flirting with the 2 glamorous women upstairs. He turned a deaf ear to what happened downstairs. Yang Ming shook his head. This person can be considered to have died a worthy death. Ignoring the several corpses at his feet, Yang Ming stepped upstairs. This attic's frame was very high. The back of the first floor was connected to the freight yard, so it was normal for Lukowski upstairs to not hear the sound downstairs. What made Yang Ming wonder was that Lukowski's vigilance was really too poor. Nicholas Shevich had been caught by the police before. Wasn't he afraid that Nicholas Shevich would say something, and then the police would follow the clues and destroy his territory? Or was he confident that Nicholas Shevich would not reveal anything? However, these were not Yang Ming's concerns. Yang Ming went up the stairs in the attic and walked to a closed door without hiding his footsteps. Yang Ming frowned and reached out to knock on the door. Chapter 15:13. What are you arguing about? Didn't I tell you? If there is nothing important, don't come up and bother me. A man's impatient and stiff voice came from the room. Obviously, it was Lukowski, but what surprised Yang Ming was that he could speak Chinese. Although it was a bit stiff, it was so fluent. This saved Yang Ming a lot of trouble. Since there was no difficulty in communicating, Yang Ming didn't have to deliberately use his special ability to see through people's thoughts. However, thinking about it, Brother Cow and the others definitely couldn't speak Russian. It was easier for them to learn to speak Russian than for Lukowski to learn Chinese. Moreover, they were now developing their forces in China, so it was more convenient for them to learn to speak Chinese. When Yang Ming saw that Lukowski didn't come to open the door, he didn't have the patience to talk nonsense with him. He raised his leg and kicked the door up. It flew directly into the room and hit the neck of a glamorous woman. The glamorous woman was bending over Lukowski's crotch. Before she could understand what was going on, she was killed by a door. Before she died, she clenched her teeth due to conditioned reflex. Lukowski suffered a tragedy. With a scream, he became an international eunuch. The other glamorous woman was dumbfounded when she saw such a shocking change. She screamed subconsciously, but before her scream lasted long, Yang Ming raised his hand and threw a knife into her throat. she fell straight on Lukowski's body. Who are you? Who are you? At #yen%. Lukowski couldn't care about the pain in his lower body at this moment. He jumped up from the bed and asked with a few Russian words that Yang Ming couldn't understand. Obviously, it was a subconscious reaction in a crisis. Are you looking for a pistol? Yang Ming shook his head helplessly when he saw Lukowski fumbling back and forth in a hurry. This person is too stupid. How can he be a deputy leader with this quality? The men named Brother Cow are much better than him. At least Brother Cow can pull out his gun in time, but this Lukowski can't even find where his gun is. But it was no wonder. This guy was arrogant and extravagant all the time. There was a group of men guarding the door, so he naturally had nothing to fear. Moreover, he was finally sent to China to become a group of officials. He naturally wanted to enjoy desperately. Otherwise, when he returned to the headquarters one day, he couldn't enjoy it. So, he ate, drank, and played every day. He had long forgotten what vigilance was. He couldn't even find the handgun for self-defense. Yang Ming watched him fumble back and forth. He had searched no less than 3 places, but he still couldn't find it. He couldn't even see the shadow of the gun. How do you know? When he heard Yang Ming say his purpose, Lukowski's movement suddenly froze. He stopped there and looked at Yang Ming in amazement. Yang Ming was really speechless. How can this kind of security awareness be a deputy leader? Originally, Yang Ming thought that he would have to spend some effort to control this Lukowski in an instant after going upstairs, but now it seemed that this guy was insulting his skills by asking him to deal with him. Your gun is in the gap between your bedside table and the bed. I don't know if you deliberately hid it there and then forgot, or you accidentally dropped it and didn't even know. Yang Ming shrugged and reminded Lukowski. Ah. Lukowski was shocked and suddenly remembered that he did use the pistol as a prop when he was having fun with a few girls a while ago. Then, after it was done, he didn't know where the pistol went. He didn't care at that time, and later, he gradually forgot about it. Now, after being reminded by Yang Ming, he realized that he accidentally dropped it in the gap of the bed. However, how did Yang Ming know? Lukowski's hand that reached out to the bed subconsciously stopped again. Since Yang Ming could tell him the location of the gun without any scruples, such a fearless attitude made Lukowski puzzled. He didn't dare to take the gun again. Who are you? How do you know? Lukowski looked at Yang Ming in horror. Only then did he wake up. The other party could kill 2 people with a raise of his hand. Even if he went to take the gun, he would probably be killed by the other party before he could shoot. You are not stupid yet. If you continue to look for the gun, I am afraid your arm will be separated from your body. Yang Ming walked forward with a smile and reached out to take out a pistol from the gap between the bed and the bedside table. However, the unique smell of a woman's body fluid on the gun made Yang Ming feel a little nauseous. Then, he thought of the previous use of the gun. He was so disgusted that he almost vomited. He was extremely angry with Lukowski, this pervert. He fiercely inserted the pistol into Lukowski's mouth. He inserted it back and forth in his mouth a few times to relieve the hatred in his heart. Then, he threw the pistol behind him. Yang Ming was not afraid of leaving fingerprints at all. Originally, he told Chen Fei and others about his visit this time. With Yang Ming's current special identity, he didn't have to be afraid of anything. The follow-up work and how to coordinate with the police naturally fell to Xiao Bingbao. It was very easy for him to deal with this kind of thing. He didn't need to worry about it at all. After being insulted by Yang Ming, Lukowski didn't dare to make a sound. Although the pain in his lower body was unbearable, he didn't dare to shout. He was afraid that if Yang Ming was anxious, he would lose his life. Who the hell are you? Why are you here? Lukowski was going crazy. Yang Ming hadn't said a word about his purpose of coming here until now. He didn't know the purpose of Yang Ming's visit. Lukowski's heart was in a mess, and he couldn't calm down at all. Chen Mengyan, where is she now? Yang Ming found a pack of wet wipes on the table. He took one out and wiped his hands, then asked. Chen Mengyan. Lukowski was stunned at first, then he remembered who Chen Mengyan was. However, it was no wonder that he would be stunned at first. After all, Chinese and Russian names were different. The difference was huge. Lukowski should not have paid much attention to Chen Mengyan's name. He only knew that this girl was used to exchange for Nicholas Shevich, so he reacted for a long time before he understood. I know. You are a member of the Songjiang police. How can you be so cruel? Even if you suspect that I am a suspect, you can't treat me like this. I want to complain to your superior. Lukowski subconsciously thought that Yang Ming was a member of the police, just like Brother Cao at the beginning. It wasn't his fault. Chen Mengyan was the daughter of the Songjiang police chief. This matter was caused by the police's drug bust, so Lukowski took it for granted that the person who came here to find Chen Mengyan must be a member of the police. When he thought of this, Lukowski was confident again. Since you are a member of the police, how can you treat a suspect like this? Aren't you afraid of causing international disputes? Sorry, I am not a member of the Songjiang police. I am Chen Mengyan's boyfriend. Yang Ming's cold words directly extinguished Lukowski's fantasy. You are that girl's boyfriend. Lukowski's eyes showed an unbelievable look. I don't believe it. How is this possible? Believe it or not, it has nothing to do with me. Yang Ming snorted. What I want to know now is where Chen Mengyan is now. I hope you think clearly before you answer. I don't know. Lukowski hesitated, but he gave an answer that surprised Yang Ming. Yang Ming didn't expect this Lukowski to be so stubborn. He actually said that he didn't know. Yang Ming looked at Lukowski carefully. I am afraid that this is the only strong point of this guy compared to Brother Cao. You should know what kind of person I am. Don't think that I don't dare to kill you. Yang Ming said coldly, I have killed 2 people in front of you before. I don't mind killing one more. I know. Lukowski said quickly. Yang Ming was dumbfounded. I just scared him, and he actually knew. Isn't this guy too cowardly? This was somewhat beyond Yang Ming's expectation. Originally, Yang Ming planned to use some tricks. Chapter 15-14. Since you know, then hurry up and say it. However, whether Lukowski was a coward or not had nothing to do with Yang Ming. It was fine as long as Lukowski could tell the news he wanted to know as soon as possible. No. I mean, I know you dare to kill me. Lukowski said with a bitter face, but, I really don't know where the 2 little girls are. Yang Ming was speechless. This Lukowski was straightforward enough. Yang Ming was dumbfounded. You don't know. The guy called Brother Cao told me that they handed them over to you. It's not wrong to hand them over to me, but last night, I handed them over to the Blackhawk gang. Lukowski was about to cry. They sent someone to pick them up at the dock here. I really don't know. They have been picked up by the Blackhawk gang. Yang Ming suddenly fell into contemplation. It seemed that Lukowski had no need to deceive him. Chen Mengyan might not be in China anymore. Yes, I was also acting according to the instructions of the higher-ups. Last night, the people were handed over to me, and they were immediately picked up by the boat sent by the Blackhawk gang. Lukowski said carefully, I have told you all I know now. Can you send me to the hospital for treatment? If my lower body is not treated in time, I am afraid it will be crippled. Yang Ming looked at Lukowski, and his expression changed slightly. This guy's thinking is really different from normal people. In this situation, he still thinks that I can send him to the hospital for treatment? Isn't he too optimistic? Tell me all you know about the Blackhawk gang. Don't leave out the location of the Blackhawk gang's headquarters and their sphere of influence. Yang Ming ignored Lukowski's request and asked, "Can you send me to the hospital first? I will tell you in detail at the hospital." After Lukowski knew that Yang Ming was not a police officer, he completely gave up the idea of going against Yang Ming. As Yang Ming said, he had already killed several people. One more would not make a difference, so the only way now was to cooperate with Yang Ming. "Do you think you have the right to bargain with me?" Yang Ming snorted and looked at Lukowski with a faint smile. "You haven't figured out the situation yet, right? I'm not your subordinate, so why should I send you to the hospital?" "All right. Go ahead and ask." Lukowski didn't want to anger Yang Ming, this murderous demon. Although the severe pain in his body was unbearable, he was afraid that Yang Ming would kill him directly if he was unhappy. It was better to endure the pain first. "Tell me everything about the Blackhawk gang," said Yang Ming. The Blackhawk gang is a gang in Russia near the border of China. It mainly deals in drug trafficking. I used to be only a middle-level backbone of the gang, so I didn't know much about the core secrets. I was later assigned here to assist the young gang leader, Nicholas Shevich. Only then did I gradually learn about the gang. Lukowski said carefully, "However, I only know a little. After all, I have been here for many years. I am not very clear about the extent of the Blackhawk gang's development. Tell me what you know. Don't talk nonsense." Yang Ming glared at Lukowski, signaling him not to say anything useless. "Yes." Lukowski was shocked and quickly said, "The headquarters of the Blackhawk gang is located in Mytina town. When I left, the scale of the gang was not large. It could only be regarded as medium-sized. There were more than 100 fixed gang members, including 5 core members. There were many peripheral members, but they were not fixed. They just recruited some street punks to put up a front. The real drug trafficking was not done by them. As for whether the scale has expanded now, I don't know because I haven't been back for 10 years. Yang Ming nodded. "Where is the headquarters of the Blackhawk gang?" "On the dock in the north of Mytina town, there is a trading company called the North Coast International Trading Company. On the surface, it does some international import and export business, but in fact, it secretly buys and sells illegal medicines and drugs." Lukowski said, "However, our leader, Nicholas Shevich's father, Viktor Rajiv, has another identity. He is a councillor of Mytina town. His usual office is in the government office on Kraft Street. The leader of the Blackhawk gang is actually a councillor of Mytina town." Yang Ming shrugged. Although it was a little strange, he did not show anything. After all, it was not uncommon for many underworld godfathers to have a political identity. "Yes, he used to be, but I don't know if he is now. After all, this is not a problem I should care about," said Lukowski. "Well, tell me about the person who contacted you yesterday and took away Chen Mengyan." Yang Ming roughly understood the general information of the Blackhawk gang, but according to Lukowski, he had not returned to Mytina town for many years. It was uncertain whether this information was still accurate. "I know this. The person who contacted me is an old acquaintance of mine. Over the years, he has been responsible for the goods from there," said Lukowski. "I don't know this person's real name. The people in our gang call him Old Geese." "Old Geese." Yang Ming repeated the name. Obviously, this Old Geese was a nickname. Although Yang Ming did not know much about Russian names, he knew that they would not name him Old Geese. "Yes, he is a fat man in his 40s. One of his eyes was injured in his early years, and he can't open it. There is a long scar between his eyelids and eyelids. Lukowski explained in detail, I heard that he used to be a pirate. Later, after he was subdued by the leader, he took on the task of shipping goods by sea. He has been dealing with me for the past 10 years. Do you have a photo of him? Asked Yang Ming. This. I don't have one. Lukowski shook his head. You also know that in our line of work, it is very taboo to leave evidence. If he is caught or I am caught, it is easy to provide clues if there is a photo. So, we all know each other, but we never inquire about each other's details. Just like how he only knows my name is Lukowski, but he doesn't know my surname. You are careful. Yang Ming glanced at Lukowski with some surprise. It was difficult to associate his previous actions with being careful. This is the rules set by our leader. Everyone will abide by it, said Lukowski with some embarrassment. Last question, do you have the contact information of Old Geese? When will he come here next time? Asked Yang Ming. I don't have the contact information. I always contact the Blackhawk gang. Then, the Blackhawk gang will find Old Geese and let Old Geese contact me. Lukowski shook his head. Old Geese's phone number to contact me is used temporarily every time. The next time, it will be changed. It is also to be careful to prevent one party from implicating others if something happens. Since you know the contact information of the Blackhawk gang, aren't they afraid that you will leak it? Asked Yang Ming, puzzled. I'm not afraid of this. After all, the Blackhawk gang is in Maitina town. Even if we find out the registered person and registered location of the contact information, we can't do anything about it. This is why the Blackhawk gang is fearless when dealing with the Songjiang police, explained Lukowski. Okay, I still have to verify if what you said is true. Then, I will have to trouble you first, said Yang Ming. He raised his hand and quickly tapped a few acupoints on Lukowski's body. What did you do to me? My God, what's wrong with my body? It seems like a bug is biting me, it's so uncomfortable. Stop. What did you do to me? Lukowski suddenly twitched all over. He ignored the pain in his lower body and began to shout for help. Let me ask you again. Was what you said before the truth? In Yang Ming's heart, although he had basically believed what Lukowski said before, it was better to be safe than sorry. After confirming it one last time, Yang Ming was more at ease. What I said is the truth. Hero, please remove the restriction for me. I am in too much pain. Lukowski rolled on the bed. I really didn't lie to you. Why don't you kill me? This is too uncomfortable. I can't stand it. Chapter 15:15. Looking at Lukowski's appearance, Yang Ming nodded slightly, but he did not immediately unseal his acupoints. However, Lukowski's words made Yang Ming feel a little amused. Hero and restriction. This guy knows a lot of things. Did he read too many Xianxia novels? I'm going to die. Kill me, please. Lukowski's face was pale. He even shouted some Russian that Yang Ming could not understand. It seemed that he could not hold on any longer. Okay, as you wish. Yang Ming reached out and tapped Lukowski's neck. Lukowski's twitching body suddenly stopped, then he lay straight on the bed and did not move anymore. Although Yang Ming had not personally tasted the feeling of having his acupoint sealed, after repeated use, Yang Ming also knew that no one could keep any secrets under this acupoint sealing method. The person whose acupoints were sealed was worse than death. Looking at the corpses all over the room, Yang Ming sighed slightly, took out his mobile phone, and dialed Xia Bingbao's number. Yang Ming, how is it? Xia Bingbao was also very concerned about Chen Mingyan's affairs, mainly because Yang Ming was a very useful talent for him. he did not allow Yang Ming to have any mishaps. Therefore, after hearing the news that Yang Ming's girlfriend was kidnapped by the Black Hawk Gang, Xia Bingbao was furious. He wanted to personally lead a team to Russia to eliminate the Black Hawk Gang. However, he was rejected by Yang Ming. The reason was very simple. He had to avenge this hatred himself. After listening to Yang Ming's words, Xia Bingbao hesitated and actually agreed. He did not intervene again, but he told Yang Ming to act according to his ability. If he could not win by himself, he should not be reckless. He must contact him to solve it. Yang Ming smiled and agreed. I'm in Bianhai City, Golden Eagle Logistics. This is a branch of the Black Hawk Gang's stronghold in China. I've already killed everyone inside. I'm going to Maitina town in Russia, the headquarters of the Black Hawk Gang. Yang Ming briefly reported his itinerary to Xia Bingbao. I will leave the aftermath work here to you. Aftermath work. Okay, but you have to be careful when you go to Russia. Xia Bingbao said, leave the other things to me. Okay, that's it then. I'll contact you again if there's anything. Yang Ming hung up the phone after saying that. When he went downstairs, he saw a barrel of gasoline at the foot of the first-floor hole. Yang Ming quickly opened the barrel of gasoline and poured it over the entire two-story attic. Then, he left the attic, lit a fire, and left the place. Probably because Xia Bingbao had informed them, the fire truck did not come until the fire was almost done. Then, the sound of the fire truck could be heard from afar. It seemed that Xia Bingbao's people had also come to deal with the aftermath. Yang Ming turned and strode away. In a hidden place, Yang Ming stopped. The muscles on his face suddenly contracted. The original appearance of a young man suddenly turned into the appearance of a middle-aged man. This was what Yang Ming learned from Suya about the other special ability obtained after the magical glasses merged with his body. It was the art of disguise. Yang Ming could transform his face into anyone's appearance. Although this sounded strange, it actually happened to Yang Ming. However, Yang Ming wouldn't use this ability easily. After all, it was such a secret thing. Yang Ming didn't want to leave anyone with a handle. If it weren't for the emergency this time, Yang Ming wouldn't have done this. In China, Yang Ming didn't need to avoid anything because of his special identity. Even if something happened, Xia Bingbao would help him deal with the aftermath. But after leaving the country, there was no such layer of protection. Yang Ming didn't want his face to appear on any international arrest warrant, so it was better to be careful. After the transformation, Yang Ming looked at his appearance in the mirror with satisfaction. Then, he quickened his pace and walked to a place that he had agreed with someone in advance. On the west side of the dock, in a grocery store, a man in his 30s was reading the newspaper. Yang Ming pushed the door and walked in. The man glanced at Yang Ming and didn't say anything. He continued to read the newspaper. Is Snakehead Piao here? Yang Ming saw that there was no one else in the store, so he asked softly. After the man heard Yang Ming's words, he suddenly put down the newspaper in his hand and quickly raised his head. Who introduced you? Donghai's Uncle Sun San, said Yang Ming faintly. The man nodded, then looked up and down at Yang Ming and said, Mr. Li. It's Li Mui. Yang Ming nodded, took out a tag from his arms, and handed it to the man. The man took it and carefully looked at the marks that he had agreed with Sun San. Then, he nodded his head in satisfaction. Since you're introduced by Uncle Sun San, then you're one of us. There's no need to be polite. Our boss, Brother Nyo, has received Uncle Sun San's kindness in the early years. Since it is Uncle Sun San's order, then it is our own business. Thank you very much. Yang Ming breathed a sigh of relief. This was a backup plan that Yang Ming left behind. If Qin Mengyan wasn't in Bianhai City, then he would smuggle himself to Russia as soon as possible. The gang that this man was in was a small gang that specialized in smuggling people into Bianhai City. The brother Nyo he was talking about was naturally snakehead Piao Dainyu. After all, Bao Sonli's foundation was too shallow. He didn't know the people from the small gangs in Bianhai City. However, Uncle Sun San's gang was in the provincial capital city. Especially when Sun Hongjun made a name for himself earlier, so he knew people from all walks of life. The most important thing was that Sun San had helped Pu Dainyu once in the early years. This time, he had something to ask of Pu Dainyu, so Pu Dainyu naturally wouldn't refuse. "Mr. Li, please come with me. Let's meet Brother Nyo together." After the man confirmed Yang Ming's identity, he became unusually respectful. As for Li Mui, it was a name that Yang Ming casually made up. Uncle Sun San didn't ask why and directly told Pu Dainyu the name. In the rear hall of the grocery store, Yang Ming saw a man with a full beard. He looked burly, and it was obvious that he came from a humble background. According to Uncle Sun San's description, Yang Ming guessed that this person should be Pu Dainyu. "Brother Nyo." Yang Ming followed the man and called Pu Dainyu as Brother Nyo. "This must be Mr. Li." Pu Dainyu waved his hand and laughed. "What Brother Nyo? You are the person that Uncle Sun San introduced. I don't dare to be arrogant. Just call me Nyo." "All right then. I'll call you Nyo." Yang Ming pondered for a while and agreed, "Then don't call me Mr. Li. Just call me Old Li." It could be seen that this Pu Dainyu was a person who didn't care about trifles. He didn't have any playful thoughts. Therefore, Yang Ming's straightforwardness was able to gain Pu Dainyu's favor. "All right, I'll call you Old Li." Pu Dainyu laughed and said, "It seems that you, Old Li, are a straightforward person. I heard from Uncle Sun San that you are going to Russia." "Yes. This time, I plan to go to Mytina town." Yang Ming said, "I wonder if there is a boat that can go there directly." "A boat is a small problem. Since Uncle Sun San introduced you, I can get a boat for you alone." Pu Dainyu hesitated for a while and said, "The main problem is that Old Li, you are going to Mytina town. This isn't easy to handle." "Oh. Why is that?" Yang Ming was a little confused. Isn't Mytina town a port city? Could it be that the inspection there is stricter? That's not the case. Pu Dainyu waved his hand and said, "Although I'm in the illegal immigration business, I'm not the only one in this business in Bianhai City. Especially this Mytina town. It is controlled by the biggest gang in the city, the Golden Hawk Gang. Other gangs are not allowed to get involved." Chapter 15-16. The Golden Hawk Gang. Yang Ming's lips curled into a mocking smile. "If it's the Golden Hawk Gang, then there's no problem." Oh, right, how could I forget? Old Li, your Uncle Sun San's friend. You should have already greeted the Golden Hawk Gang. Pu Dainyu suddenly realized, with Uncle Sun San's face, the Golden Hawk Gang wouldn't make things difficult for us over such a small matter. "Greet." Yang Ming smiled slightly. "I did greet them, but most of their people are already dead." Yang Ming didn't need to hide these things. After all, even if this matter could be hidden for a while, it definitely wouldn't be hidden for long. Therefore, Yang Ming might as well tell Pu Dainyu what happened. Firstly, it was to do him a favor. It could be seen that Pu Dainyu wasn't very comfortable with the Golden Hawk Gang in Bianhai City. He was restricted in many areas. Therefore, Pu Dainyu really wanted to see the destruction of the Golden Hawk Gang. Secondly, Yang Ming wanted to intimidate Pu Dainyu, or rather, Pu Dainyu's subordinates. Although he was introduced by Sun San and seemed to be getting along well with Pu Dainyu, who could guarantee that Pu Dainyu wouldn't change his mind under the influence of benefits in the future? This was also why Yang Ming was worried that Pu Dainyu would do something unwise and cause trouble. Although Yang Ming didn't mind these troublesome matters, he still needed Pu Dainyu's help to return to Russia this time. Almost dead. Pu Dainyu was slightly stunned. He suddenly looked at Yang Ming with uncertainty. Although Pu Dainyu was a rough person, he vaguely understood Yang Ming's words. However, he wasn't sure and didn't know what Yang Ming meant. After all, Yang Ming was only introduced by Uncle Sun San. Although Uncle Sun San was his savior, Pu Dainyu and Yang Ming had only met for the first time. He really couldn't understand what Yang Ming was trying to say when he said that their people were almost dead. Dainyu, we're on the same side, so I won't hide anything from you. Yang Ming's expression turned serious as he said, "Do you know why I'm going to my Tina town this time?" "Oldly, you must be joking. How can I guess the purpose of this?" Pu Dainyu's expression turned serious. He knew that Yang Ming was going to say something confidential, but he didn't refuse to listen. Instead, he waved his hand and signaled the man with glasses who brought Yang Ming in to leave first. The bespectacled man was Pu Dainyu's confidant. How could he not understand what Pu Dainyu meant? He smiled and said, "Brother Nyo, Mr. Lee, you guys go ahead and chat. I have to go out and take care of the business." Excuse me. Well, you can go first. I don't need you here for the time being. If there's anything, I'll call you." Pu Dainyu nodded his head and said calmly, "Oldly, I won't hide it from you. Our grocery store is just a place where Little Snakehead brings people to meet us. We can't leave it unguarded. You don't mind, right?" "Why would I? In that case, brother, you can do your own things first. Let's chat for a while." Yang Ming laughed casually and gave Pu Dainyu a way out. After the bespectacled man left, Pu Dainyu's expression turned serious as he said, "Oldly, what's the matter? You can say it now." Actually, it doesn't matter if that brother from before hears it. My purpose this time isn't a secret anyway." Yang Ming smiled amiably and said, "Dainyu, the main purpose of my trip to my Tina town this time is to find trouble with the Black Hawk gang." "You want to find trouble with the Black Hawk gang?" Pu Dainyu instantly cried out in shock when he heard Yang Ming's words. When he mentioned the Golden Hawk gang, Yang Ming's attitude was a little ambiguous. Then, Yang Ming immediately mentioned his purpose of going to my Tina town. Even if Pu Dainyu was a careless person, he could roughly guess that there was a connection between the two. However, in his eyes, the Golden Hawk gang was already a very powerful existence. After all, they were a branch of an international gang that dabbled in drugs. They even had guns in their hands. Therefore, he didn't think that Yang Ming would dare to find trouble with the Black Hawk gang. Now that Yang Ming had suddenly stated his purpose, Pu Dainyu was at a loss of what to do. Although he felt that Yang Ming didn't need to lie to him, he didn't really believe that Yang Ming dared to find trouble with the Black Hawk gang alone. "Why? Brother Dainyu doesn't think highly of me." Yang Ming smiled lightly and asked indifferently. "That's not it. How could Pu Dainyu say such offensive words?" He shook his head and said, "It's just that I was a little shocked and couldn't accept it. As for the Golden Hawk gang that Brother Dainyu mentioned before, I have already been there. Isn't it the Golden Hawk International Logistics Company at the pier?" Yang Ming smiled. "Now, I want to congratulate Brother Dainyu. This pier will be your world in the future. That Golden Hawk gang is finished now." Finished? Pu Dainyu had vaguely guessed the truth before. When Yang Ming said that he was going to find trouble with the Black Hawk gang, it was impossible for him to speak without thinking. If that was the case, how could Yang Ming let the Golden Hawk gang, a branch of the Black Hawk gang, go so easily? However, before he confirmed it, Pu Dainyu didn't dare to be sure even if he guessed it. Now that Yang Ming said it with certainty, Pu Dainiu was sure that Yang Ming had already found trouble with the Golden Hawk gang. Yang Ming smiled slightly. I reckon that Brother Dainiu will receive the news soon, right? As soon as Yang Ming finished speaking, hurried footsteps came from outside the room. Along with the footsteps, the bespectacled man's voice sounded, Brother Nyo, something happened. Hearing the bespectacled man's voice, Pu Dainiu's expression changed. Although he was a little angry at the bespectacled man's lack of manners, he knew that the bespectacled man wouldn't run over in such a panic if there wasn't something serious. What happened? Why are you making such a big fuss? Pu Dainiu's expression turned serious. He vaguely felt that something was wrong. It seemed that this matter was related to Yang Ming in front of him. Looking at Yang Ming's mysterious smile, Pu Dainiu was 70 to 80% sure. Brother Nyo, something big happened. The Golden Hawk Logistics Company is on fire. The bespectacled man ran into the room quickly. His expression was nervous, but there was a hint of schadenfreude. The fire trucks have already rushed over. However, according to the report from the brothers at the pier, the Golden Hawk Logistics Company was burned beyond recognition. If the people inside were still there, I'm afraid, oh. Is that true? Pu Dainiu looked at the bespectacled man in shock. This news was simply too big for him. It was great news that the Golden Hawk gang was in trouble. It shouldn't be wrong. Although I didn't check it out personally, the sound of the fire trucks could still be heard clearly from outside the door. The bespectacled man said, this time, the Golden Hawk gang is really unlucky. Hee, even if they don't die, they will lose a layer of skin. How did it catch fire? Pu Dainiu glanced at Yang Ming, but he didn't quite believe it. If Yang Ming was the one who started the fire, then the people on the other side weren't fools. Would they just let Yang Ming do whatever he wanted? Moreover, they didn't put out the fire after starting it, and just let it get bigger and bigger. It didn't seem to make sense no matter what he said, right? You don't have to guess anymore. I was the one who started the fire, Yang Ming said faintly with a calm expression, just before I came here. It can't be. Old Li, did you really do it? When Pu Dainiu heard Yang Ming admit it himself, he finally believed that the fire at the Golden Hawk Logistics had something to do with Yang Ming. Yang Ming nodded. After I asked for some information that I wanted to know, I killed everyone inside. Then, I burned the house down. Killed them all. Pu Dainiu opened his eyes wide and looked at Yang Ming in disbelief. Old Li, who are you? You killed them all. The Golden Hawk gang was full of experts, and they even had guns. Guns? I have collected a few. Since you mentioned it, I'll give them all to you. Yang Ming passed a plastic bag to Pu Dainiu. Inside were the guns that Yang Ming seized from the Golden Hawk Logistics. Give them to me. Pu Dainiu's eyes lit up when he heard Yang Ming's words. He opened his eyes wide. Old Li, are you serious? What's there to be serious about? Yang Ming shrugged. These things are useless to me. If you don't want them, I was planning to throw them into the sea. Yang Ming was telling the truth. These crudely made guns were nothing to him. Old Buffon's firearms were much more advanced than these, so Yang Ming didn't really care. However, Yang Ming underestimated how attractive these things were to Pu Dainiu and the others. At this moment, it wasn't just Pu Dainiu. Even the bespectacled man beside him revealed an envious and surprised expression. So based on this alone, Yang Ming really couldn't determine whether there was anything wrong with the man wearing glasses. In addition, the man wearing glasses didn't have any other unusual behavior except for looking at his watch a few more times. It was understandable that he looked at his watch. Stowaways always had to grasp the time well to avoid the official law enforcement team such as the Border Patrol boat. But since there was suspicion, Yang Ming couldn't take the risk anymore. He didn't dare to take the risk. After all, the success or failure of this operation was related to the safety of Qin Mengyan. Yang Ming couldn't have the slightest carelessness. If he made a mistake, he might lose the whole game. So when the man wearing glasses asked Yang Ming for the last time what kind of landing method to choose, Yang Ming hesitated a little and chose a landing method that the man wearing glasses didn't expect. Swim over. That way, regardless of whether the man wearing glasses had a problem or not, Yang Ming would have enough time to prepare. If the man wearing glasses really had a problem, then no matter if he landed in Maitina town or at the familiar town port recommended by the man wearing glasses, he could be ambushed by the other party in advance. When he landed, he would be caught like a turtle in a jar. That wouldn't be good. Although Yang Ming was confident that he should be able to escape unscathed, there were always accidents. It was better to be safe. So Yang Ming chose to swim over. Although he said that he was swimming, in fact, Yang Ming also wanted to dive into the water and secretly observe the movements of the glasses man. If there was no problem with the other party, then at this moment, he should turn the boat around and return to Bianhai City without saying anything. If there was something wrong with the other party, his choice of landing by swimming obviously disrupted his previous plan. Then, the man wearing glasses should have called to inform him after he jumped into the sea. What made Yang Ming feel regretful was that the man wearing glasses did have a problem, and it seemed that he should be from the Blackhawk gang. Mr. Li. What do you mean? Why don't I get it? The man wearing glasses hoped that Yang Ming was only suspicious and didn't have any substantial evidence, so he said with luck, Brother Nyo has already told me to listen to Mr. Li's arrangements and orders. Did I do something wrong that made Mr. Li unhappy? Something wrong? Unhappy? Yang Ming sneered and said, I'm not unhappy with you. I think you're the one who's unhappy with me. You actually called me Mr. Li. Who are you telling to be careful? This. The man wearing glasses was shocked, but after listening to Yang Ming's words, he was relieved. It turns out that Mr. Li is angry because of my disrespectful words. Then, I apologize to Mr. Li. I'm a rough person, so it's inevitable that my words are unpleasant. I didn't expect Mr. Li to hear my private conversation with Brother Nyo on the phone. However, Brother Nyo has already taught me a lesson before. The bespectacled man thought that Yang Ming's dissatisfaction was only because of the lowly guy, and didn't know anything else. However, the bespectacled man couldn't be blamed for thinking this way. After all, Yang Ming only said a few words on the phone and didn't make sense. If an average person didn't listen carefully and missed a few words, it would be difficult to notice anything wrong if they didn't think about it carefully. Therefore, the bespectacled man was relieved. Oh. Is that so? Yang Ming looked at the man wearing glasses with a smile, and there was a hint of sarcasm in his eyes. When did Brother Nyo have a foreign name? Vestrif. When the man wearing glasses heard this name, his expression suddenly changed. He also understood that Yang Ming had heard everything he said before. At this moment, it was useless to quibble. A trace of fierceness flashed in his eyes. He suddenly pulled out a pistol from his waist and pointed it at Yang Ming. Originally, you could still live for a while. If you were lucky and swam over, you might really be able to escape. However, since you came back to seek death, then don't blame me. The man wearing glasses sighed. Originally, I didn't want to do it myself. This way, it would be easy to expose my identity. I can't stay by Pu Daniu's side anymore. Listening to the man wearing glasses muttering to himself, Yang Ming was speechless. It was as if he was forced to kill him. Moreover, he seemed to be about to become a ghost under his gun. This guy is arrogant to a certain extent, right? Who is Vestrif? Yang Ming ignored the bespectacled man's whining and asked instead. There's no harm in telling you. At least, you can die knowing. The man wearing glasses had a victorious look on his face. He thought that if he pointed the pistol at Yang Ming would be at his mercy. Therefore, he didn't mind saying a few more words to Yang Ming. Although he knew that the destruction of the Golden Hawk Gang was directly related to Yang Ming, he didn't see it with his own eyes. Moreover, he didn't think that this was done by Yang Ming with his bare hands. At that time, Yang Ming might have had some helpers or used some kind of sharp weapon. Therefore, the man wearing glasses didn't guard against Yang Ming, who was currently unarmed. He also didn't think that Yang Ming had the slightest ability to counterattack. Hee. Yang Ming smiled faintly and didn't comment on the man wearing glasses' words. Vestrif is the deputy leader of the Black Hawk Gang. He is also my direct superior. You don't need to know why I appeared beside Pu Dainyu. It has nothing to do with you, the man wearing glasses explained. The reason why the man wearing glasses was beside Pu Dainyu indeed had nothing to do with Yang Ming. This time, he attacked Yang Ming completely by coincidence and accident. Pu Dainyu was the biggest gangster in Bianhai City. He had countless boats under him. Of course, the Golden Hawk Gang coveted this kind of advantageous resource. Therefore, they placed the man wearing glasses as a spy beside Pu Dainyu. Within a few years, he had gained Pu Dainyu's trust and became his right-hand man. However, the man wearing glasses used Pu Dainyu's resources to help the Black Hawk Gang smuggle drugs when they were smuggling boats. This reduced the risk and cost of the Black Hawk Gang's transportation. It wasn't to the extent that the Black Hawk Gang had bad intentions towards Pu Dainyu. Pu Dainyu wasn't that attractive. Of course, Yang Ming wasn't interested in these things. He only needed to know that the man wearing glasses was a member of the Black Hawk Gang. Therefore, when he suddenly saw that the pistol was out of bullets, the man with glasses panicked a little. He quickly pulled the trigger again, but unfortunately, there was still no gunshot sound. It was still the same click sound. The man with glasses broke out in cold sweat. Looking at the calm Yang Ming in front of him, who seemed to have expected this situation, the man with glasses was even more shocked. Could it be that this person in front of him did something? Why? Is there no more bullets in the gun? Yang Ming showed his teeth innocently. He was like a child who had found a treasure and was showing it to an adult. He extended his hand and a few bullets appeared in his palm. Are you looking for this? Why are the bullets with you? Impossible. The man with glasses couldn't believe that Yang Ming could actually steal the bullets in his pistol silently. He opened the magazine crazily, but he was disappointed to find that it was empty. The man with glasses' face twitched twice. The pistol fell onto the deck with a paw sound, just like the phone from before. His eyes were filled with fear. You suspected me long ago. Yang Ming nodded. When Yang Ming was suspicious of the man with glasses, he removed all the bullets in the man's pistol just in case. For Yang Ming, the king of assassins, this matter was not difficult at all. He completed it quietly without the man with glasses noticing. It was also because of this that Yang Ming was fearless. Otherwise, no matter how arrogant Yang Ming was, he would have to take countermeasures when a gun was pointed at him. He couldn't let the man with glasses do as he pleased. You kept looking at the time before, and then kept asking me how to get ashore, so I had some doubts. Yang Ming said, however, it was just a suspicion, so after I took the bullets in your pistol, I didn't do anything to you. This was just a precautionary measure. If you didn't have any bad intentions towards me, this wouldn't have any effect on you. However, I didn't expect that you were really a member of the Black Hawk Gang. I see. It seems that I was still too impatient. Although the man with glasses' face was pale, he pretended to be calm and said, So, what do you want to do with me now? When he said this, the man with glasses' eyes glanced at the side of the ship. Obviously, he had lost the pistol in his hand. He knew that he had no ability to compete with Yang Ming, so he planned to take the opportunity to escape. How could Yang Ming not see the intention of the man with glasses? Seeing his pretentious look, Yang Ming was amused. He curled his lips. I have already said before. You can stay here. Okay. If that's the case, I will accept it. The man with glasses nodded with a determined look. He slowly stood up with a gesture of sacrifice. However, the moment he stood up, his body tilted and fell toward the side of the ship. His whole body instantly jumped into the water. In the opinion of the man with glasses, as long as he jumped into the water in this dark night, even if Yang Ming's strength was tyrannical, he couldn't do anything to him. The man with glasses confirmed that Yang Ming didn't have any firearms like a pistol in his hand except for a few bullets. When he took out the pistol from the bag, he had already disappeared into the water and disappeared into the darkness. The opportunity had been missed, and it was too late. When Yang Ming saw the man with glasses jump into the water, he didn't stop him. Instead, he showed a look of disdain. His right hand shook slightly, and a bullet flew toward the top of the man with glasses. Accompanied by a muffled groan, the man with glasses fell into the water with a plop sound. After a few ups and downs, he disappeared in an instant. You jumped in yourself. It saved me the trouble of throwing you in. Yang Ming casually threw the remaining bullets into the water, and then clapped his hands. Yang Ming could easily control and kill people with small objects like flying needles, let alone this bullet. Yang Ming saved a flying needle like this. As for the man with glasses, he probably couldn't understand how Yang Ming could kill him with just a bullet. If he knew that Yang Ming was the king of assassins, he probably wouldn't have been so careless. However, the man with glasses couldn't understand this in his life. He died in a daze. He didn't even know how he died. Chapter 15-20. After doing all this, Yang Ming reached out and took out the phone that he placed in a secret place when he sneaked onto the boat. He pressed the stop button on the video. Previously, the phone's camera was pointed at the bespectacled man. Every word that the bespectacled man said was recorded in the phone. Yang Ming was going to send it to Pu Dainu to give him an explanation. Although Yang Ming didn't need to give Pu Dainu any explanation with his skills, this Pu Dainu was quite to Yang Ming's liking. Therefore, Yang Ming took the opportunity to return him a favor. Otherwise, when Pu Dainu found out that the man with glasses disappeared, he might think that Yang Ming killed him. At that time, he would cause trouble for Uncle Sun San for no reason. Although Yang Ming wasn't afraid that Pu Dainu would do anything to him or Uncle Sun San, Yang Ming wasn't willing to be the scapegoat, especially for such an evil person. Yang Ming wrote an email and sent it to Pu Dainu's email. He believed that Pu Dainu would understand everything after watching this video. After doing all this, Yang Ming jumped into the water again and swam quickly in the direction of Maitina Town's pier. This smuggling boat that looked like a small fishing boat was parked alone in the middle of the sea. At Maitina Town's pier, a middle-aged Caucasian man in his 40s sat in a luxurious RV. He could see the scene at the pier through the glass of the RV. However, the man didn't look at the pier. This was because the pier was filled with his subordinates dressed as sailors. As long as someone went ashore, they wouldn't be able to escape from these people's sight. This person was the deputy leader of the Black Hawk gang, Vestrif. He was also Nicholas Shevich's uncle. Respected Mr. Vestrif, it's already very late. You should take a rest. It'll be fine with us on duty. A subordinate said respectfully to Vestrif. Vestrif waved his hand. This person is a little strange. Although the information that Glasses gave me previously said that this person wasn't part of the Songjiang police force, he didn't look like an ordinary person from the way he acted. If he wasn't from the legal world, then he should be from the underworld. Oh. Is this man really so great, Mr. Vestrif? Asked the man cautiously. Powerful. He's more than powerful. The entire Golden Hawk gang was wiped out by him. None of the core members escaped alive. Our years of operations in Bianhai City were destroyed by him in half a day. What do you think of this person's ability? Vestrif sneered. I have a feeling that this person is not from the police. He must be from the underworld. Of course, the latter is more likely. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so ruthless. The Golden Hawk gang was destroyed by a person called Li Mui. The subordinates were shocked. Although this matter had not spread widely within the Black Hawk gang, as the confidants of the core leaders of the gang, they had all heard of it. However, this was the first time they had heard that it was done by Li Mui. Who else could it be? Vestrif said. But it's strange. Why would this person get involved in this mess? Our opponent is the Songjiang police. What does it have to do with this Li guy? If it weren't for him and Glasses inadvertently revealing that he really came for the 2 hostages, we would still be in the dark. We wouldn't know when we offended such a person. Mr. Vestrif, could it be that the Songjiang police wanted to cover it up? It is not good to use normal means and identity to do this, so they created this Li Mui. After all, this kind of thing is not easy for the police to do. The subordinate thought about it and analyzed. What you said is not impossible, Vestrif said. Every country has such special agents who carry out special missions. It is normal for them to be fierce and ruthless, so this is why I value this person so much. Oh. What do you mean? The subordinate didn't understand Vestrif's words. Don't you know my brother-in-law's other identity? He is the counselor of Maitina town and the honorary chief of the police station. If this Li guy is really an agent from China, and if he is captured by us, my brother-in-law can hand him over to the intelligence department. It is also a great contribution to the future development of our gang. Vestrif said, the more prominent my brother-in-law's political position is, the more powerful our gang will be in Maitina town. So that's how it is, Mr. Vestrif. You're so thoughtful. His subordinate nodded and said in admiration. Jivanov, go to the nearby convenience store and buy me a cup of coffee. I am old. I can't stand staying up all night. Vestrif sighed and said. Okay, Mr. Vestrif, I will go now. This subordinate, who was the Jivanov in Vestrif's words, quickly responded. He got out of the car and quickly ran to the coffee shop on the dock. Vestrif also closed his eyes and began to rest. Yang Ming slowly floated to the surface of the sea and slowly breathed a sigh of relief. He swam quickly to the dock without any disguise. A few sailors who were transporting goods at the dock saw this scene and exchanged a look of understanding with each other. Then, they continued with their work without batting an eyelid. Yang Ming quickly swam to the shore and quickly climbed up. Hula, the sailors who were transporting goods immediately put down the goods in their hands and quickly surrounded Yang Ming. One of them, who seemed to be the leader, said coldly to Yang Ming, "Don't move." "Who are you?" "Stand there and raise your face." Yang Ming also raised his head without hesitation. He looked at the leader and snorted coldly. "Ah. Jivanov." The leader was obviously stunned after seeing Yang Ming's face. "Mr. Jivanov, why are you here?" Jivanov was Vestrif's confidant. Who on the dock didn't know? So when they saw Jivanov coming out of the water, although they were very surprised, their attitude immediately took a 180-degree turn. They were extremely respectful and did not dare to be the slightest bit rash. "Mr. Vestrif." Yang Ming coldly replied with an ambiguous sentence. It was not that Yang Ming did not want to explain, but Yang Ming had only learned one sentence of Russian after learning for so long. This Jivanov was Yang Ming's illusion. Yang Ming had observed the situation on the shore for a long time in the sea. After finding Vestrev's car and seeing the conversation between Vestrev and Jivanov, he made the decision. Although Yang Ming did not know what the two of them were talking about, he could obviously see that this Jivanov was Vestrev's confidant, so Yang Ming made up his mind to go ashore with this person's image. Presumably, these subordinates would not dare to ask too much. If they really asked him, he just had to vaguely say, Mr. Vestrev, that he had just learned. Sure enough, Yang Ming's ambiguous sentence suddenly stunned these subordinates. Although they did not know what Yang Ming meant, they did not dare to ask more. At this moment, Yang Ming had already walked quickly to Vestrev's luxury RV. A few of his subordinates on the dock shook their heads with a wry smile. The leader of the sailors also shrugged helplessly. Although Jivanov usually tried to curry favor with Vestrev, he was like a fox pretending to be a tiger in front of his subordinates. These people also knew that he was Vestrev's favorite, so how could they dare to offend him? Captain Lok, what does Mr. Jivanov mean? After Yang Ming's Jivanov had gone far away, one of the men asked the leading sailor carefully. Who knows? But who dares to ask more? It's not like you don't know Jivanov's temper. He relies on his identity as the deputy leader's confidant to be arrogant and domineering. He doesn't put us in his eyes at all. Captain Luk was obviously full of resentment when he mentioned Jivanov, but there was nothing he could do. However, he must have done something for Mr. Vestrev. It's not good for us to ask. It's better not to provoke such a villain in the future. Yes. Only people with the identity of Captain Luk dared to speak rudely to Jivanov. Although the other subordinates hated Jivanov very much, they still had to respectfully call him Mr. Jivanov. Okay, continue to work. Do our job well. Other things have nothing to do with us, Captain Luk said to his subordinates. Therefore, these men continued to pretend to be sailors and began to be busy at the dock, repeatedly moving some goods back and forth. They were so tired that they were happy, just to put on an act. If they knew that the target they were looking for had just slipped away in front of their eyes and they were still pretending to be coolies, they would be furious. Chapter 15:21. The moment he turned around and walked toward the RV, Yang Ming's face transformed into the previous Li Mui image. Because he had just come ashore from the water, Yang Ming's head was covered by a hat, and Yang Ming had his head lowered, so no one noticed the change in Yang Ming at this moment. Yang Ming came to the RV and reached out to open the door. Jivanov, you're back so soon. Vestrev heard the sound of the door opening, but he didn't open his eyes. He just asked faintly. Vestrev didn't have any vigilance here because the Black Hawk gang had basically occupied the vicinity of the dock. Only a few of his confidants could get close to his car. The one who got in the car at this moment should be Jivanov, who went to buy coffee before. Although Vestrev felt that Jivanov's speed was a bit fast, he didn't think much about it. Mr. Vestrev, right? Let's get to know each other. My surname is Li. Yang Ming quickly jumped into the car, then closed the door and said indifferently to the white man in front of him. Yang Ming used Chinese. He believed that Vestrev should be able to understand because when the man with glasses called him before, he used Chinese. People like them who focus their business in China should be proficient in Chinese. So Yang Ming didn't even bother to use English and simply spoke directly. Hearing that the person actually spoke Chinese and said that his surname was Li, Vestrev was shocked. His eyes suddenly opened, and he looked at Yang Ming in disbelief. However, Vestrev was the deputy leader of the gang. Although he showed a surprised expression for a moment, he quickly recovered his calmness and looked at Yang Ming up and down. Li Mui. It's really you. Vestrev narrowed his eyes and said very calmly as if he was talking to an old friend he hadn't seen for many years. He didn't show any nervousness at all. Limui. For the time being. Yang Ming smiled and said noncommittally, Mr. Vestrov, it doesn't feel good to pretend to be calm, right? Pretending to be calm. Vestrov coldly snorted. Humph, don't think that you can do anything just because you sneaked into my car. Do you think you can still escape? Escape? Why should I escape? Yang Ming shrugged. I have no intention of escaping at all. What do you mean? Vestrov finally showed a hesitant expression as he looked at Yang Ming in surprise. I've already learned of your identity from that spy, glasses. You're the deputy leader of the Black Hawk gang. Yang Ming slowly said, very good. This way, it saves me the trouble of looking for you. You took the initiative to wait here, saving me a lot of trouble. Ever since Yang Ming knew that the bespectacled man had leaked his information to Vestrov, he had made adjustments to his plan. It turned out that Yang Ming's idea was to sneak into Mytina town first, then find out where Victor Rajiv, the leader of the Black Hawk gang, was. He would capture him as a bargaining chip in exchange for Chen Mengyan and Yang Ming. Originally, Yang Ming was still worried about where Victor Rajiv was. This time, Vestrov came directly to his door. Although he was only a deputy leader, he could be used as a powerful bargaining chip. Yang Ming's eyes widened. In that case, the bespectacled man did a good thing. It was not easy for Yang Ming to avoid the Black Hawk gang's men when he went ashore. However, that was for others. For Yang Ming, it was not a problem. Yang Ming transformed into Vestrov's confidant, Jivanov, and got directly into Vestrov's RV. You want to use me as a bargaining chip in exchange for the 2 hostages. Vestrov raised his eyebrows and directly guessed Yang Ming's idea. It seems that you are quite smart, Yang Ming said lightly. Of course, this is only the best plan. Even if you don't appear here, I will take the initiative to find you or Victor Rajiv and use you as hostages in exchange for Chen Mengyan and Yang Ming. Best plan. It seems that you still have a middle and a bad plan. Vestrov asked. You want to stall for time and wait for Jivanov to come back, right? Yang Ming smiled and exposed Vestrov's purpose. It could be seen that Vestrov was not stupid. Yang Ming was in front of him, and he did not make any unwise moves. He was afraid that he was not sure whether Yang Ming had a backup plan and would suddenly attack when he made a move. Therefore, Vestrov thought of Jivanov. As long as Jivanov came back and found Yang Ming in the RV, he would definitely announce it. Even if he was killed by Yang Ming, it would at least attract the attention of others. This was his plan, but he did not expect Yang Ming to say it out loud. Humph. Vestrov snorted coldly. Although he was a little embarrassed to be exposed by Yang Ming, his expression remained calm. If you think I'm stalling for time, then you can proceed to the next step. I want to see how you're going to take me away under this heavy encirclement, or use me as a bargaining chip to exchange hostages. It doesn't matter. Since you want to wait for Jivanov, of course, you can. Yang Ming shrugged and said indifferently, if you want to hear my middle and bad plans, I might as well tell you. If you want to say it, then say it. Vestrov saw that Yang Ming was so calm and felt a little guilty. He did not know why Yang Ming was like this. Could it be that he was really fearless? If I really can't find you or Victor Rajiv, then I will go directly to the place where Chen Mengyan is being held. This is the middle plan, Yang Ming said. Holding place. How can it be so easy to find? Vestrov sneered. Then, what's the worst plan? The next plan is very simple. I'll kill every member of the Black Hawk gang that I see. I'll kill every single one of them. Unless you don't appear in Mytina town again, I'll kill every single one of you. Chapter 1522. Vestrov finally couldn't help but exclaim in surprise in his heart, assassin. What? You're an assassin. What's wrong? Is there anything wrong? Yang Ming raised his head and looked at Vestrov. I'm afraid you're just exaggerating, right? Vestrov hesitated and smiled. Don't think that you've become an assassin just because you killed a few people. Do you know what an assassin is? Yang Ming was slightly stunned. He didn't expect Vestrov to be so cautious. His words didn't move him. He was completely different from the glasses man, Pu Danu, and even Lukowski. However, it was no wonder. If he wasn't a calm person, how could he be the deputy leader of the Blackhawk gang? Why? Mr. Vestrov, do you mean that you know the assassin industry very well? Yang Ming smiled and asked. I don't know much, but I think you know very well what I do, Vestrov said. Vestrov said, as the deputy leader of a gang, I know a lot about the assassin industry. Mr. Limui, which organization do you belong to? Vestrov was naturally testing Yang Ming. Yang Ming was able to get into his luxury RV under heavy siege. Naturally, he had something extraordinary about him. Therefore, Vestrov didn't dare to act rashly. He had been using words to probe Yang Ming's origin. However, he didn't believe that Yang Ming was an assassin because there weren't many famous assassins in China. Most of the powerful assassins were distributed in Europe and America. Vestrov also knew a few of the large-scale assassin groups. You won't know which organization I belong to even if I tell you. Yang Ming said faintly, however, you have an organization called the Hawkeye Assassin Group on your side, right? Hawkeye Assassin Group. Vestrov's eyes sharpened and then returned to normal. We do have the Hawkeye Assassin Group on our side, but why are you mentioning this assassin group to me? Don't tell me that you're from the Hawkeye Assassin Group. Or, you know about the Hawkeye Assassin Group, which means that you're in the industry. Hawkeye Assassin Group. Of course, I am not. Yang Ming shook his head. Since you know about this assassin group, it is easy to handle. Easy? Vestrov sneered. If you had mentioned this assassin group a while ago, no matter what relationship you have with them, I would have been afraid. Maybe I would have directly returned the 2 hostages to you. But now, you mention the Hawkeye Assassin Group in front of me. Obviously, you are too uninformed. Connections. Return the hostage to me directly. Yang Ming suddenly showed a strange expression. Does this assassin group have so much face? Of course there was in the past. Vestrov said without hiding anything. Although I'm in the underworld, I'm still very afraid of the assassin industry. I try not to offend them as much as possible. After all, these people are very difficult to deal with once they are provoked. But now, I naturally won't be afraid of this Hawkeye Assassin Group. I might as well tell you that the Hawkeye Assassin Group has been removed from the Russian industry. Removed? The expression on Yang Ming's face became even more strange. It seems that they have no other capable assassins except for the pillar, Delay Man 001. It's no wonder that a third-rate assassin group can have such a good assassin. Once Delay Man 001 dies, this Hawkeye assassin group is finished. Do you know Delay Man 001? Vestrov was finally shaken. Many people knew about the Hawkeye assassin group. As long as they were in the underworld, they would know more or less. However, not many people knew Delay Man 001, but it was not absolute. After all, Delay Man 001 was the pillar of the Hawkeye assassin group, and he was also famous. Oh, of course, I know. He died under my hands, said Yang Ming calmly. Died under your hands. The expression on Vestrov's face became more dignified. Although he didn't believe it, Yang Ming finally caught his attention. What evidence do you have? Evidence? Yang Ming shrugged. I killed him. Do I need any evidence? All right, then where did you kill him? Vestrov asked with a gloomy face. At this moment, he had changed from his initial disdain to caution toward Yang Ming. Macau. Yang Ming didn't hide it and looked at Vestrov with a smile. Right, in fact, I might as well tell you that the reason why I killed him was because there was a kid named Ouyang Junyuan who wanted to harm my woman. I broke his finger to teach him a lesson. I didn't expect this kid to be so stubborn. He actually went back to find his elder brother, Ouyang Junwei, to avenge him. His elder brother actually went crazy with him. Not only did he call his father, Ouyang Kanki, from Russia, but he also brought his family's #1 assassin, Delay Man 001, to trouble me. There was no other way. In order to get it done once and for all, I had to kill his father and Delay Man 001 together. Vestrov's face finally changed color. The names that Yang Ming said were methodical. Vestrov knew that the Hawkeye group was supported by the Ouyang family. However, this kind of secret was not known by everyone, especially the real name of the behind-the-scenes leader of the Hawkeye group, Ouyang Kanki. This was not known by most people. Vestrov also knew these secrets because he had some business with the Hawkeye group. He didn't think that Yang Ming could inquire about these things if he wasn't in the industry. How could Vestrov not understand the hidden meaning in Yang Ming's words? A person like Vestrov naturally knew what Yang Ming was hinting at. How could Yang Ming's words be said casually? Instead, it was implied. The meaning was obvious. He once destroyed the entire Hawkeye group for a woman, and now he was looking for Vestrov for 2 women. Chapter 1523. A chill ran from Vestrov's back to the back of his head. He had not felt this way for a long time. This time, Vestrov really felt the danger of death, the sense of crisis that was close at hand. He was confident that he had been through hundreds of battles and was experienced, but he didn't know how Yang Ming killed Jivanov. He didn't even see clearly whether Yang Ming used a weapon or not. Thinking of this, Vestrov was scared for a while. If Yang Ming wanted to kill him, then he would have become a corpse like Jivanov. The ridiculous thing was that he thought that he was very cunning to guard against Yang Ming's sudden outburst. He even thought that Yang Ming was also afraid of attacking the rat for fear of breaking the vases. He didn't dare to act rashly without full confidence. However, he didn't expect that killing a person was as simple as yawning, or even simpler than yawning. For the first time, Vestrov felt the insignificance of life and the sense of powerlessness that was not in his control. At this moment, there was no need for Yang Ming to say anything. Vestrov already believed that Yang Ming was an assassin. He also believed that Delay Man 001 and Ouyang Kanki's family were all killed by this person in front of him. Vestrov didn't have the slightest chance of winning against such a person. Instead of this, it was better to compromise as soon as possible. Otherwise, if things got out of hand, it would only be bad for the Blackhawk gang. Mr. Lee, you must be joking. It is my responsibility to teach an unruly subordinate a lesson. Now that Mr. Lee has done it for me, I can't thank you enough. How can I blame you? Vestrov said with a forced smile. Yang Ming sneered in his heart. Your attitude changed quite quickly, huh? Before this, Yang Ming had already noticed Jivanov walking toward the luxury RV with his special ability, so he deliberately led the topic to how to prove himself. He took advantage of the moment when Jivanov got in the car to make a move. In this way, there was no need for Yang Ming to say anything. Vestrov would not ask such a stupid question again. Mr. Vestrov, shouldn't we talk about the 2 hostages now? Yang Ming lazily crossed his legs and laid on the sofa of the RV. He didn't even look at Vestrov, as if he wasn't afraid that Vestrov would attack him. In fact, this was also Yang Ming's pretense to give Vestrov psychological pressure. No matter how arrogant Yang Ming was, he wouldn't joke about his own life. Although Yang Ming's eyes weren't looking in Vestrov's direction, it didn't mean that Yang Ming wasn't monitoring Vestrov. It must be known that Yang Ming's ability allowed him to see 360 degrees. Even if he didn't look in Vestrev's direction, he could know what he was doing. Seeing Yang Ming's attitude, Vestrev didn't dare to have any other thoughts. Before he knew Yang Ming's ability, Vestrev still thought that Yang Ming was an alarmist. After knowing Yang Ming's ability, Vestrev was thinking about how to send this great god away. The matter of the hostages can be discussed, but Mr. Lee, our Black Hawk gang is also a reputable organization. We are also well known internationally. Vestrev pondered for a moment and said, although the situation is forcing us to compromise, can you tell me which organization you belong to? This way, even if we release the two ladies, others won't say anything about us when they know. Otherwise, our Black Hawk gang's reputation will plummet. If it really comes to that, then our Black Hawk gang doesn't mind fighting to the death. After all, those who don't know can't be blamed. No matter how powerful the force behind you is, you are still alone. Oh. Yang Ming narrowed his eyes and looked at Vestrev with a strange expression. How could he not hear that Vestrev was just an alarmist? However, Vestrev wanted to find a way out for the Black Hawk gang so that they wouldn't lose face. Do you think you have the qualifications to fight to the death? I can find my way to your car without alerting anyone outside. Similarly, I can find my way to your residence. Or do you think the people outside can stop me? This. Vestrev only wanted to find a way out for the sake of the gang's reputation, but he didn't expect Yang Ming to not give him any face at all. He suddenly blushed. He couldn't do such a stupid thing as using the Black Hawk gang to fight Yang Ming. But since you want to know, there's no harm in telling you. Yang Ming said faintly, I'm from the butterfly family. As for whether you have heard of it, I don't need to say anything more to you. Butterfly family. Vestrev's face suddenly turned pale when he heard the name. How could he not know about the famous butterfly family in the assassin world? Originally, Vestrev was still thinking about the possibility of keeping Yang Ming here. Anyway, Yang Ming was only one person now. No matter how strong one person was, he was outnumbered. When the time came, he could just find a way to keep him here forever. However, when he heard that Yang Ming was from the butterfly family, Vestrev suddenly felt like a bucket of cold water had been poured on his forehead. He suddenly sobered up a lot and threw away these unrealistic thoughts. He didn't dare to have such thoughts anymore. The butterfly family was the most terrifying existence in the legends. If the Hawkeye group was famous in Russia, then the Hawkeye group was not worth mentioning at all compared to the butterfly family. Europe, Elo Town, Butterfly Castle. Vestrev asked carefully. You know quite a lot, don't you? Yang Ming looked at Vestrev with a smile. I had the honor of meeting the family master of the butterfly family in the past. I wonder if he is doing well. Vestrev asked tentatively. Uncle Wang is in good health. You don't have to worry about him. Yang Ming replied faintly. He knew that Vestrev wanted to confirm whether he had anything to do with the butterfly family, so he simply continued, Butler Mu is also very good. What else do you want to know? This. Vestrev was a little embarrassed when he saw that Yang Ming had seen through his intentions. He coughed twice, nothing, I was just casually asking. However, Vestrev was also completely sure that Yang Ming was indeed from the butterfly family. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to know the surname of the family master of the butterfly family and Butler Mu. Okay, that's enough nonsense. My patience is limited. When are you going to bring him to me? Yang Ming waved his hand impatiently and asked Vestrev. The reason why Yang Ming chose this negotiation with carrots and sticks to solve the problem was that he had his concerns. According to Yang Ming's style of doing things and his current ability, he could completely destroy the Black Hawk gang in one fell swoop. However, Yang Ming could not guarantee that the Black Hawk gang would not leave any backup plans. They would not do anything to harm Chen Mengyan in a desperate situation. Therefore, Yang Ming did not dare to take the risk easily. Moreover, this negotiation method of deterrence was also the fastest way to solve the problem. Yang Ming did not have so much time to dawdle. This matter was related to Qin Mingyan's safety. Yang Ming did not want any accidents. As for the Black Hawk Gang, it had nothing to do with Yang Ming. As long as they didn't find trouble with Yang Ming didn't mind letting them go. Anyway, they didn't do evil in his own territory. As long as he intimidated them into not coming to China and not coming to Songjiang to cause trouble, even if they destroyed Maitina town, it had nothing to do with Yang Ming. Since everyone has made it clear, we, the Black Hawk Gang, will definitely return the people to Mr. Li, Vestrif said. Vestrif said, we, the Black Hawk Gang, don't want to offend such a terrifying existence like the butterfly family. However, Mr. Li, you also know that these two people are our bargaining chips to threaten the Songjiang police. If we give them to you, then we will lose the qualification to negotiate with the Songjiang police. Do you mean that you are not going to let them go? Or do you want to bargain with me? Yang Ming's expression suddenly became stern. He glanced at Vestrif coldly, and his voice was bone-chilling. Chapter 1524. Mr. Li, you misunderstood. Vestrif's expression froze, and he suddenly sobered up. Now, Li Xiqing was not talking to him about conditions, but he was speaking to him in an almost commanding tone. That is, he had to release the hostage even if he didn't want to. Misunderstood. Yang Ming sneered and said, I didn't misunderstand. The matter between you and the Songjiang police is your business. It has nothing to do with me. It's 1:30 in the morning. If I don't see anyone before 5:00 in the morning, then I'm sorry. You have to bear the consequences. Mr. Li, this isn't the time a little too tight. I still have to discuss with Mr. Victor Rajiv. Although he is my brother-in-law, he is still the leader of the Black Hawk Gang. I'm just his deputy. I can't make the decision. Vestrif said with a smile. You're talking nonsense with me. I've already wasted 5 minutes. It's now 1:35. Yang Ming said faintly, I don't care what method you use. If I don't see anyone before 5:00, then don't blame me for starting with the Black Hawk Gang. Mr. Li, do you really want to fight to the death? You know, the hostage is in our hands. It won't do you any good to push us too far. Vestrif said in a threatening tone. Oh. Is that so? Yang Ming glanced at Vestrif coldly, and then said, if you have any unrealistic ideas or hope for a fluke, then I don't mind killing Nicholas Shevich and others. Although they are in the hands of the Songjiang police, you should know that this is not difficult for me. The expression on Vestrif's face finally changed. Although his nephew's drug trafficking was probably a capital offense, he still fantasized about sending Nicholas Shevich back to China. Therefore, he was not very worried that the Songjiang police would directly convict him. However, what Yang Ming said about sneaking into the Songjiang police station and killing Nicholas Shevich was not impossible. With Yang Ming's strange skills, it was indeed not easy for him to easily avoid the many people he ambushed at the dock. Vestrif sighed as he looked at the expressionless Yang Ming. He took out his phone and dialed Victor Rajiv's number. Vestrif, how is it? Is everything going well? Victor Rajiv stretched comfortably and answered Vestrif's call. Victor Rajiv had also received the news of Yang Ming's arrival. He had been waiting for the news in the villa. Brother-in-law, something unexpected happened. Vestrif smiled bitterly. Previously, when he came here, he was in high spirits, thinking that it would be a piece of cake to deal with one person. However, he did not expect that not only did he fail to deal with this person, but he was also threatened by this person. Accident? What was going on? Could it be that you accidentally killed him when you were capturing him? Victor Rajiv asked, if that's the case, then it won't be easy. It's a pity that we didn't manage to get the details of that person. Vestrov was speechless. Wasn't his brother-in-law too arrogant? Accidentally killing someone. It was already good enough that he didn't accidentally kill us, brother-in-law. The other party is not dead. He is sitting in front of me. What? Not dead. You caught him. Victor Rajiv was stunned and asked, then what's the surprise? Is there something wrong with the other party? Brother-in-law, I didn't catch the other party. Instead, I was threatened by him. Vestrov smiled bitterly. The other party asked us to return the 2 hostages to him before 5 o'clock. What? Vestrov, are you okay? The other party is only one person. How can he threaten you? What nonsense are you talking about? Victor Rajiv almost fainted after hearing Vestrov's words, before 5 o'clock. Bring this person to me right now. Brother-in-law, I don't have the ability to take this person away. Vestrov quickly explained, the other party's identity is not simple. He has already said that if we don't see the 2 girls before 5 o'clock, he will attack our Blackhawk gang. Not only that, but he will also kill my nephew, Nicholas Shevich, from the Songjiang police station. His identity is not simple. What kind of identity can make you so afraid? Victor Rajiv was furious when he heard Vestrov's words. He actually used my son to threaten me. No matter what his identity is, he dares to threaten me. Do you think I will let him go? His tone is so arrogant. He actually wants to attack our Blackhawk gang. Did he get the wrong place? I want to see who is in charge of this Mytina town. This. Vestrov said helplessly, brother-in-law, the person who came to me is an assassin. Assassin? You said he is an assassin? Victor Rajiv frowned and said hesitantly, the other party is an assassin. How do you know? Brother-in-law, do you know Delay Man 001 of the Hawkeye assassin group? Even a terrifying existence like Delay Man 001 was killed by him. Vestrov explained, brother-in-law, we can't afford to offend such a person. He killed Delay Man 001. Victor Rajiv obviously didn't believe Vestrov's words. He hesitated and said, Vestrov, you don't believe him just because of a few words, right? Brother-in-law, I didn't believe it at first, but you know what? Jivanov was killed in an instant right in front of my eyes. I didn't even see how he did it. I only saw him casually raise his hand, and Jivanov was killed. Vestrov's voice was a little frightened as he said this. His eyes glanced at Jivanov's body on the ground, such a terrifying existence. If he wanted to kill me, I would have already become a corpse. So you're saying that this person is really very strong? Victor Rajiv had to pay attention to Vestrov's words. Are you sure you can keep him here? Brother-in-law, this person is from the butterfly family. Vestrov smiled bitterly. What? Butterfly family? Victor Rajiv was still quietly sitting on the recliner and drinking coffee. Although he heard that it was an assassin and that it might be a little tricky, he was not very nervous. However, when he heard Vestrov say that the person was from the butterfly family, Victor Rajiv was shocked. He stood up from the recliner, and the teacup in his hand fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. Yes, brother-in-law, this is the accident I was talking about. Vestrov sighed, even if we hand him over, others won't say anything about the Blackhawk gang. At most, they will say that we are wise. I'm afraid that if we fight to the death with the butterfly family, we won't even know how we died. Others won't say that we are heroes. Instead, they will say that we are idiots. Wait for me. I'll go over now and meet this Mr. Lee in person. After Victor Rajiv heard the words butterfly family, he could no longer sit still. As the underworld's godfather and the counselor of Mytina town, he was not afraid of anything. If the other party was also a gang leader, Viktor Rajiv did not need to give them any face as long as they were in Mytina town, no matter how powerful they were locally. However, this Li Mui was different. He was an assassin from the Butterfly family, the terrifying existence of the world's #1 assassin group. If the Black Hawk Gang had a grudge with this kind of organization, it would be better to disband as soon as possible. The gang leaders should quickly go home and commit suicide. Otherwise, they would be destroyed sooner or later. Especially for someone like Viktor Rajiv, he understood how terrifying an assassin was. Therefore, after listening to Vestrov's words, Viktor Rajiv planned to meet this Mr. Li in person. If what Vestrov said was true, then he must not offend this person. Otherwise, he would be courting death. When Vestrov was on the phone, Yang Ming was sitting next to him, but he turned a deaf ear to his words. However, Yang Ming was a little amused. This Vestrov was actually so afraid of him. If he didn't say it, Yang Ming really wouldn't know that he had such a strong deterrent effect on him. Chapter 1525. Viktor Rajiv hung up the phone, then opened the door and walked out of the room. The secretary sitting on the sofa was resting with his eyes closed. When he heard the sound of the door opening, he opened his eyes abruptly. When he saw Viktor Rajiv coming out, he quickly said respectfully, "Mr. Viktor Rajiv, what can I do for you? Prepare a car for me. I want to go to the dock immediately." Viktor Rajiv said to his secretary, "By the way, where are the 2 girls who were sent in yesterday being kept?" "The 2 girls are locked in the basement of our headquarters." "Mr. Viktor Rajiv, is there a problem?" The secretary asked carefully. "Get someone to send the 2 girls here. Be quick. Don't let anything happen to them." Viktor Rajiv told the secretary, "Right, don't be rough. Don't offend these 2 people." "Yes." The secretary wondered why Viktor Rajiv said this. Is it necessary to be polite to the 2 hostages? However, the secretary didn't dare to ask casually and had to do as he was told. Sigh. Viktor Rajiv sighed deeply as he watched the secretary leave. He was mentally and physically exhausted. How did the plan that I was so proud of end up provoking an assassin? The Black Hawk Gang was very efficient. After a while, Chen Mengyan and Victoria were taken to the ground floor of Viktor Rajiv's villa. A MPV was parked quietly below. Viktor Rajiv walked out of the villa and glanced at the MPV. The secretary quickly ran over and said respectfully, "Mr. Viktor Rajiv, the car is ready, and the 2 girls are in the MPV. What do you think? Let the MPV follow behind us. We are going to the dock now." Viktor Rajiv nodded and told the secretary. "Yes, then let's go now." The secretary responded and whispered to the MPV driver, then asked Viktor Rajiv carefully. "Let's go." Viktor Rajiv nodded and got into his Rolls-Royce luxury limousine. Vestrov sat in the car nervously. He looked at Yang Ming, who was resting with his eyes closed, then looked out of the window again. He anxiously looked at his watch, then looked out of the window again. Why hasn't my brother-in-law arrived yet? The Black Hawk Gang members disguised as sailors and porters on the dock also withdrew under Vestrov's orders. They went to rest at the stronghold. It didn't make sense to stay here now. Vestrov didn't think that he could do anything to Yang Ming with so many people. Instead, it would make Yang Ming feel disgusted, so he simply generously withdrew his people. After a while, Viktor Rajiv's Rolls-Royce limousine and the Chrysler Grand Caravan carrying Chen Mengyan and Victoria quickly drove to the dock and parked next to Vestrov's luxury RV. The secretary got out of the car first and helped Viktor Rajiv open the door. Viktor Rajiv got out of the car and walked quickly in the direction of the RV. Vestrov saw that Viktor Rajiv had finally arrived, and immediately breathed a sigh of relief. It's very simple. Since you are not a nobody, you must have some acquaintances in the assassin world. Victor Rajiv said, I also know the helmsman of an assassin family. Our relationship is not bad. I will call him. If he can prove your identity, then I will let you go without saying anything. Victor Rajiv said that their relationship was not bad, but in fact, they were just familiar with each other. The two sides had some cooperative relationship. Victor Rajiv was a long-term client of the assassin family. What family? Yang Ming frowned. There are countless assassin families in the world, and assassin is a very secretive profession. You can just find a family. How can I know them? Don't worry. The assassin family I am talking about is second only to the butterfly family. I believe you should not be unfamiliar with it. Victor Rajiv said, this family is the Charles family. Charles family. Yang Ming's face suddenly showed a strange expression. Yes. I have some personal relationships with the family master of the Charles family, old Charles. I will call him. If you can get him to help you prove your identity, I will believe you. Said Victor Rajiv. Do I need to do this? Yang Ming sneered, however, since you are willing, then let's do it. Although I don't mind destroying the entire Blackhawk gang, I am really too lazy to do it. It was not that Yang Ming was too lazy to do it, but his action against the Blackhawk gang was not only known to the Songjiang police, but also to Xiao Bingbao. If he exterminated the Blackhawk gang, he believed that part of his strength and trump cards would be exposed in front of Xiao Bingbao. After all, with such a big movement, it was impossible for Xiao Bingbao not to find out that it was him who did it. As long as there was a slight association, it could be linked together. Chapter 1526. In order to prevent such a situation from happening, Yang Ming did not mind letting the Blackhawk gang off for the time being. If they were smart, they would not provoke him again. Then, they would still be free and happy, and Yang Ming would not bother to trouble them again. But if they really wanted to die, then Yang Ming would not mind cleaning them up after this incident. Now was an eventful time. The behind-the-scenes boss, the mysterious Elder Yu, and the central that he had inexplicably offended. Yang Ming could be said to be in a precarious situation. It was not a wise move to reveal his strength at this time. The commotion caused by the Lancer family in Europe was already big enough, so Yang Ming had to keep a low profile at this time. This saved the Blackhawk gang from a disaster. Of course, on the other hand, it was also because this drug trafficking organization was foreign. As long as they did not poison Yang Ming's own compatriots in the future, what did it have to do with Yang Ming? Yang Ming was not an Interpol, nor was he Superman or Ultraman who maintained world peace. Naturally, he would not be bothered by what he did not see. Seeing that Yang Ming agreed with his idea, Victor Rajiv's heart sank. Yang Ming dared to do this, which meant that Yang Ming might be related to the Charles family. It seemed that he had to put aside his unrealistic ideas. Victor Rajiv did not come here with the intention of letting them go directly. Although Chen Mengyan and Victoria were in the commercial car outside, once Victor Rajiv determined that Yang Ming's identity was fake, he naturally would not let them go. He even had the idea of keeping Yang Ming here forever. However, on the surface, Victor Rajiv took out his mobile phone quietly, dialed a number on it, and then waited quietly. Hello, is Butler Zhou here? Victor Rajiv changed his indifferent and equal tone when talking to Yang Ming. His voice directly became flattering. This change made Yang Ming despise him. He thought that Victor Rajiv was a person who did great things and would not lose his composure in front of him like Vestrov. He did not expect that Victor Rajiv would be like this because he did not know his identity. After hearing Victor Rajiv's words, the person on the other end of the phone replied faintly, Butler Zhou has retired and returned to his hometown more than a month ago. Who are you? Why are you looking for him? After Victor Rajiv heard the other party's words, his expression suddenly changed. He said in surprise, "What? Butler Show is not here. Retired and returned to his hometown. How is that possible? Aren't people who serve the assassin family unable to leave for the rest of their lives?" Although Victor Rajiv was an underworld godfather, he also knew some of the rules of the assassin family, so he was very surprised that Butler Joe could retire and return to his hometown. Not to mention the assassin family, even in the Black Hawk gang, it was not so easy for these core executives to retire. They had to live within the gang's sphere of influence. It was impossible for them to return to their hometown. "We don't need to explain these things to you." When the other party heard Victor Rajiv's question, he coldly refused. "Who are you? What's the matter?" Victor Rajiv's heart shuddered, and he recognized his identity. "Yes, the assassin family doesn't need to explain anything to me. How am I qualified to ask anything?" Thinking of this, Victor Rajiv quickly said, "I am Victor Rajiv of the Black Hawk gang in Mytina town, Russia. I am a long-term customer of your organization. Excuse me, can I ask Mr. Old Charles to answer the phone?" "What's the matter?" "Mr. Old Charles is very busy now." The person who answered the phone sounded a little displeased. It was no wonder. Calling to inquire about the internal affairs of other people's families was a taboo. Victor Rajiv was speechless for a while. He was a well-known figure in Russia, but he was actually spoken to in such an indifferent tone. Previously, he was full of anger at Yang Ming. This time, he was met with a nose full of dust. However, he did not dare to be angry. "Do you have anything to say?" The other party saw that Victor Rajiv was speechless and was a little impatient. "No matter what gang you are from, you have nothing to do with harassing an assassin family. Isn't this courting death? Excuse me, are you the new butler? What's your surname?" Victor Rajiv thought hard, but he couldn't figure out who the person who answered the phone was, so he began to get close to him. If this person was someone he had dealt with before, then the other party would probably give him some face by saying a few words. However, if he directly said that he wanted to ask Mr. Old Charles to help confirm a person's identity, the other party would probably hang up the phone without even thinking about it. "Help you confirm someone's identity? I don't have this obligation." In the beginning, the relationship between Victor Rajiv and Butler Joe was quite good. It was possible to make an exception, but this person who answered the phone had no friendship with him. "Yes, my surname is Jean. Do you have anything else?" The leader of the Black Hawk gang. The other party had obviously quickly checked Victor Rajiv's client identity through the computer, but his tone was not enthusiastic at all. It was still as cold as ever, but his previous impatience was slightly restrained. After all, Victor Rajiv had done a lot of business with the Charles family. Surname Jean. Victor Rajiv had never seen this new butler surnamed Jean. He had never even heard of him. For a while, he really didn't know what to say. He didn't know him at all. How could he get close to him? "Give me the phone." Yang Ming looked at Victor Rajiv, who was sweating anxiously, and said to him with a faint smile. "Give it to you." Victor Rajiv was stunned for a moment. He hesitated, but finally handed the phone to Yang Ming. At this time, Yang Ming asked for the phone. He must have his reasons, so Victor Rajiv did not hesitate. In any case, he helped himself out of the situation. "Hello. Golden Bull, it's me." Yang Ming said faintly on the other side of the phone. "Ah. Leader. Why is it you? I didn't know that you were on the side. Please forgive me for offending you." Butler Jean was shocked when he heard Yang Ming's voice. He was shocked and quickly apologized. This Butler Jean was naturally Golden Bull of the Black Butterfly Assassin Group. He was also a veteran of the Black Widow assassin group. When the Black Butterfly assassin group went to Africa to develop, Yang Ming sent Golden Bowl to the Charles family as a butler. After all, old Charles was also preparing to gradually hand over the family business to the Black Butterfly assassin group. Golden Bowl was one of the people that Yang Ming was optimistic about. After Zhou Jiejia's father retired, Yang Ming let him take over as a training. Golden Bowl could naturally hear Yang Ming's voice, especially since Yang Ming did not speak English like Victor Rajiv did. He spoke Chinese, so Golden Bowl's hearing was more sensitive. Go and call old Charles. Just say that I am looking for him. Yang Ming did not mean to blame Golden Bowl. If it were someone else, they would also treat Victor Rajiv coldly. Yes. Leader, Golden Bowl said quickly. Although Victor Rajiv couldn't hear what Butler Jean said on the phone, he heard Yang Ming's words clearly. Yang Ming actually spoke to Butler Jean in such a tone. He even called him by his name and even used a commanding tone. How could Victor Rajiv not be horrified? At this moment, he was 100% convinced of Yang Ming's identity. The fact that Yang Ming could order the Charles family's butler around already explained the problem. Of course, Victor Rajiv did not doubt that Yang Ming might have colluded in advance. After all, he made the call using his own mobile phone. It was impossible to fake it. When he thought of this, Victor Rajiv regretted making this call. No matter what the result was, he was suspicious and distrustful of Yang Ming. He had already offended Yang Ming. Yang Ming's identity should be more powerful than the Charles family's butler. Victor Rajiv really had the urge to cry after offending such a person. Why am I so unlucky? Mr. Lee, I don't think we need to trouble Mr. Old Charles. I already believe in you. Victor Rajiv said carefully, trying to make up for his previous mistakes as much as possible. Chapter 1527. Let's trouble him. Yang Ming glanced at Victor Rajiv with a smile and said faintly, moreover, it's not troubling him if I ask him to answer the phone. He will be very happy. Originally, Victor Rajiv was a little suspicious and surprised by Butler Jin's attitude toward Yang Ming. At this time, when he heard Yang Ming say this about old Charles, he suddenly felt a chill in his heart. He didn't think that Yang Ming was bragging. At this time, there was no need to boast at all. If he boasted, he would soon be exposed. Judging from the current situation, the other party's attitude toward Yang Ming could already explain everything. Victor Rajiv's mouth moved, but he didn't say anything in the end. It was too late to say anything now. He could only wait quietly for the result. Soon, old Charles answered the phone. Mr. Yang. It's me, Li Mui, said Yang Ming suggestively. He believed that old Charles should be able to understand what he meant. Oh, it's Mr. Li. Excuse me, why are you looking for this old man? Old Charles was very smart. He immediately understood what Yang Ming meant. Perhaps Yang Ming used the alias Li Mui because it was inconvenient for him to announce his true identity on some occasions. Although old Charles heard that the voice was Yang Ming's, he would still have some doubts if Golden Bowl hadn't told him that the caller was Yang Ming. However, since Golden Bowl had confirmed it, old Charles would no longer doubt anything. Golden Bowl and Yang Ming were very close. It was impossible to be mistaken. This is the case. Do you know Victor Rajiv of the Russian Black Hawk gang? Asked Yang Ming. Oh, this person. I have dealt with him several times. He is a client of our Charles family. What's wrong? Mr. Lee, why are you asking about him? Golden Bowl didn't tell old Charles about Victor Rajiv, so old Charles still didn't know about him. Since you know him, it's easy. Help me prove to him that I am an assassin of the Butterfly family, said Yang Ming to old Charles. Oh. Okay. Although he wondered why Yang Ming wanted to do this, since Yang Ming had a request, old Charles naturally would not refuse and directly agreed. Yang Ming handed the phone back to Victor Rajiv. Okay, you can talk to old Charles. Is this the respected Mr. Old Charles? Victor Rajiv carefully took the phone and asked nervously. It's me, Victor Rajiv. Mr. Lee just asked me to help him prove that he is an assassin of the butterfly family. Old Charles said, do you have any objections to this? No. Victor Rajiv quickly replied. How could he dare to have any objections? That's good. I don't know why Mr. Lee would do that, but you'd better be careful. Don't do anything that will hurt our friendship. Old Charles vaguely guessed some of the reasons for the matter, but he was not sure. However, he secretly warned Victor Rajiv. Yes. Don't worry, Mr. Old Charles. I know what to do. Victor Rajiv's heart trembled. He no longer had any doubts about Yang Ming's identity. Not only did he not have any doubts, but Victor Rajiv also roughly understood that Yang Ming's status in the butterfly family was definitely not low. Those who dared to speak to Butler Jean and Old Charles in this tone were definitely the higher-ups of the butterfly family. Only the core members of the world's #1 assassin family dared to speak to Mr. Old Charles, the helmsman of the world's #2 assassin family, the Charles family. Okay, the call is over. Mr. Victor Rajiv, shouldn't you let him go? Yang Ming glanced at Victor Rajiv and asked. This, of course. Victor Rajiv's heart was really bitter at the moment. If he had known earlier, he would have just let them go and left a good impression on Yang Ming. Now, he was naturally much weaker. Anyone would think that he was forced to make this decision. Although this was the case, if he were more decisive and let them go without making this call, he believed that even if he could not turn the enemy into a friend, he would not leave any bad impression on Yang Ming. Then hurry up. Yang Ming looked at his watch faintly. It's almost 4 o'clock. If you don't want to be exterminated, bring them here quickly. Victor Rajiv's heart suddenly jumped. Although Yang Ming's tone was very arrogant before, it was not so ruthless. But now, Yang Ming's words were almost a naked threat. How could Victor Rajiv not know what was going on with this gap? But what could he do even if he knew? How could a small Black Hawk gang be an opponent of the butterfly family? Especially when he heard the conversation between Yang Ming and Old Charles, it seemed that their relationship was very good. If something happened to Yang Ming, he believed that the Charles family would stand up for him. Under this double pressure, if Victor Rajiv had any other thoughts, he would be mentally deranged. Yes. I'll call my secretary and ask him to bring them here. Victor Rajiv did not dare to delay and responded quickly. You don't have to bring them here. Prepare a motorboat and bring them directly onto the motorboat. I'll be there soon. Yang Ming waved his hand and ordered. Yes, I'll have someone prepare it now. Victor Rajiv said quickly. Don't think about doing anything to the motorboat. I don't think you are that stupid, right? Although Yang Ming felt that Victor Rajiv was not a fool, he still reminded him. If there was a problem with the motorboat, Yang Ming could naturally swim back easily. The key was that he did not know if Qin Mengyan and Victoria could hold on. The sea was still quite cold in this season. How would I dare? Victor Rajiv smiled bitterly and said somewhat self-deprecatingly, for a small Black Hawk gang, both the Butterfly family and the Charles family are giants. Very good, but I have a piece of advice. Do you want to hear it? Yang Ming nodded with satisfaction. He stood up and was about to get out of the car when he suddenly thought of something and turned around to ask. I am naturally listening to Mr. Lee's advice. Victor Rajiv said with a serious expression. This time, I am very dissatisfied with your approach. You actually dared to doubt my identity. Yang Ming said coldly, "This time, I will not pursue it because I am in a hurry. However, in the future, don't let me see anyone from the Black Hawk gang in China. Otherwise, you will have to bear the consequences." Yang Ming naturally did not want a drug trafficking organization like the Black Hawk gang to operate in China. Although Yang Ming was not a peacekeeper, he did not want to see his compatriots being harmed. Therefore, it was better for the Black Hawk gang to operate less in China when it came to drug trafficking. Otherwise, Yang Ming would not mind solving it. Okay, I understand what to do. Although Victor Rajiv did not want to agree with Yang Ming's advice, he did not want to be exterminated. God knew what would happen if he offended Yang Ming. Although giving up the Chinese market made Victor Rajiv's heart ache, there was no other way. Victor Rajiv sighed. If he had been more alert and let them go directly, would this ending have been different? However, he didn't know that Yang Ming's suggestion would still be made even after he let them go. "I hope you will do as you say. Otherwise. I forgot to tell you. I live in China." Yang Ming patted Victor Rajiv's shoulder and dispelled his last trace of hope. After saying this, Yang Ming got up and got out of the luxury RV. Victor Rajiv smiled bitterly and followed Yang Ming out of the RV. He gave a few instructions to the secretary who had been waiting outside the door. Although the secretary did not know why Victor Rajiv gave such instructions, he glanced at Yang Ming beside Victor Rajiv in surprise. However, he did not dare to ask anything and quickly went to carry out Victor Rajiv's orders. Chapter 1528. With the strength of the Black Hawk gang, almost the entire dock was under the control of Victor Rajiv. It was no wonder that the Black Hawk gang could unscrupulously traffic drugs through the dock. Soon, a brand new motorboat was tidied up and docked at the dock. He believed that Victor Rajiv had already ordered a detailed and rigorous inspection of the motorboat to prevent any problems from occurring. Now, Victor Rajiv didn't dare to do anything to Yang Ming. He was even more afraid that something would happen to Yang Ming. If something happened to Yang Ming now, he couldn't explain it clearly even if he had a mouth. The Butterfly family and the Charles family would think that he did it, and no one would listen to his quibbles. Therefore, Victor Rajiv prayed that Yang Ming would go back safely and not make any mistakes on the way so that he wouldn't be implicated. It was a failure to live to this extent, especially for Victor Rajiv, the underworld's godfather. He had never done such a shameful thing in his life. Since taking over the power of the Black Hawk gang from his father, Victor Rajiv had always been a superior existence, no matter who he was in front of. This also had a lot to do with his other identity as a member of the parliament. But today, Victor Rajiv had to lower his head. If he didn't lower his head, he would be beheaded. What are they going to do? Chen Mengyan and Victoria were brought to the dock in the middle of the night. No one told them what to do with them. After the car stopped, there was no movement. Chen Mengyan was naturally a little anxious. "I don't know." Victoria shook her head, "But they intend to exchange us for the prisoners detained by the Songjiang police. We don't have to worry that they will harm us. It's all because of me that you are implicated, Sister Mingxi." Chen Mengyan looked at Victoria apologetically. "They are targeting my dad." "You are implicated." Victoria hesitated. She felt that in this situation, it was time to lay her cards on the table with Chen Mengyan. This would also allow Chen Mengyan to be mentally prepared. If there was a suitable opportunity to escape later, she could also let Chen Mengyan know in advance and cooperate. Otherwise, Chen Mengyan would definitely be suspicious if he suddenly showed some unusual behavior and actions. Now that there was no one watching from the side, it was a good opportunity to talk. "Miss Chen, I think it's time to tell you some things. In this case, there's no need to continue hiding it from you." Victoria pondered for a moment and said, Miss Chin. Chen Mengyan was slightly stunned. She looked at Victoria in surprise. Sister Mingxi, what are you talking about? Why are you suddenly calling me Miss Chin? Miss Chin, please don't interrupt me. Let me continue. Victoria made a gesture to calm down and then said quickly, my true identity is not a relative who came from the mountains to seek refuge from Yang Ming, but a slave boxer trained by someone. Ah. Chen Mengyan listened to Victoria's words and looked at her incredulously. Slave boxer? What do you mean? My real name is not Chen Mingxi. Chen Mingxi is just a name that Yang Ming casually gave me. Maybe it's because he likes you too much. As Victoria said this, she glanced at Chen Mengyan with a smile. She unnaturally thought of the situation when she seduced Yang Ming. Yang Ming did not take the bait. She was a little dissatisfied, but she did not show it. My real name is Victoria. Yang Ming rescued me from my original owner and brought me back here. Victoria. Africa. The impact of Victoria's words on Chen Mengyan was too great, but she also knew that in this case, Victoria had no need to lie to her at all. So although she felt that what Victoria said was too weird, she still chose to believe it. But why didn't you tell me before? Why did you lie to me? However, Victoria's sentence, maybe it's because he likes you too much, made Chen Mengyan's face blush slightly. Although it was not obvious in the dark, Chen Mengyan still subconsciously lowered her head. Mr. Yang offended some people. He was afraid that these people would harm you, so he sent me to protect you. Victoria said, I didn't tell you before because I was afraid that you would be worried after knowing. Offended some people. Chen Mengyan suddenly felt that she still didn't understand Yang Ming. From the beginning until now, she had never really understood Yang Ming. Although she now felt that she understood Yang Ming a lot more than before, it was still the tip of the iceberg. I didn't expect that those people didn't come to the door, but the Black Hawk gang came to the door first. Victoria sighed. At that time, the people who came had pistols in their hands. I didn't have full confidence that I could guarantee that the three of you would not be injured, so I could only take a step back and choose to come here with you. Sister Mingxi, you shouldn't be saying this to me casually at this time, right? Chen Mengyan had not fully digested this shocking news, but this was not a good time to digest it. Victoria explained a lot to her at this time, so there should be a purpose. Seeing that Chen Mengyan still called her Sister Mingxi, Victoria did not deliberately correct it. A fleeting joy flashed in her eyes, and then she said, yes, they locked us in the basement before. I couldn't find a chance to escape, but now, it is a good opportunity. Sister Mingxi, you mean, we have a chance to escape tonight? Chen Mengyan was overjoyed when she heard this. It's possible. Chen Mingxi nodded. They suddenly brought us to the dock. According to my analysis, there are only two possibilities. Chen Mengyan raised her eyebrows and seemed to have guessed something. Sister Mingxi is saying that they are going to exchange hostages. This is one of the possibilities. Victoria nodded appreciatively after listening. They picked us up from the basement in the middle of the night and brought us here. It must be an emergency. Something unexpected happened, so it is like this. Exchanging hostages is naturally one of the possibilities. However, with my father's temper, I am afraid this is not possible. Chen Mengyan immediately sighed. He should not use criminals to exchange for my safety. If it were an ordinary person, my father may do so, but I am his daughter. Even if he is unwilling, he will not do so. Chen Mengyan had heard about Qin Fei's temperament since she was a child. She also understood Qin Fei's personality and temper, so the possibility that her father could send someone to exchange for her this time was not very high. Yes, I don't have much hope for this. Victoria nodded. After all, we have only been captured for a day. Even if the Black Hawk Gang put forward conditions, the Songjiang police have to hold a meeting and ask for instructions from the higher-ups before making a decision. This takes a period. It is impossible to be so fast. This is true, but Sister Mingxi, I only thought of this possibility. In addition, why did they bring us to the dock? Chen Mengyan thought about it, but she still couldn't think of an answer. Since it is not an exchange of hostages, what else can they do by bringing us to the dock? Victoria smiled. What is the dock for? Boat. Chen Mingyan's eyes lit up. Under Victoria's reminder, she quickly thought of this. They brought us to the dock in such a hurry. There should be an accident. Since it is the dock, the next step is likely to be to take us away from the dock by boat. Otherwise, why would they come to the dock where cars can go? Yes. That is the case. Victoria agreed. The reason why I explained the details to you first is that when we get on the boat, it will be a good opportunity to escape. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.